Very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is another episode of Coaster Kings Radio. My name is Sean.
I'm Alex.
And this is Sven.
And today we have our visitors, or guests really, CoasterBot, and the famous British YouTube channel, CoasterBot.
Famous?
Yeah, you are famous.
You are famous.
Well, I'm just some random guy on the internet who makes videos about roller coasters,
Oh, aren't we all?
That's how you get famous.
I guess that is how you get famous in our community.
Yeah.
Just pump out content until someone starts watching it.
Yeah.
Pretty much, for us, it's like writing all those articles that you don't see any hits on, but hope that 5 years down the road, Google still has it listed somewhere, and you still get hits on it.
Just assault the masses with information until they submit and listen.
It's like you saw our Velocicoaster update from 2 days ago. Great, here's another one. Just eat it.
You like our Disney World article? Here's something about China. Brought in your horizon.
And here's our shop.
Always got to plug the shop.
Always gotta plug the shop.
Also, CoasterBot has a shop, by the way. I saw some cool stuff in there.
Their pins are awesome. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna go shopping.
Thank you.
At the CoasterBot shop. Okay.
Yeah, we worked quite hard recently trying to add
we
some new
brought out
products.
some new collections. So yeah, it's all on there.
I see you guys have been doing that quite a lot though as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve for us.
Sean has picked up graphic design. I'm so proud of him.
Sort of. And so also I learned that import fees are a very real thing. So we also had to launch a European shop because I thought I wasn't really worried about it. And then unfortunately one of our shoppers got hit with one.
With an
import fee, which is way heavier than I expected. So now we have a European and a US shop. So I guess it's a learning curve, really.
Released, there's 3 designs that we haven't released yet. We've been feverishly prolific in our designing.
It's also been a learning thing. I think we released some things you may have not should have released.
Yeah, we released some stuff. And we're all right, we're going to retire this one in 3 weeks.
I know you mean.
This was a stepping stone to our.
So yeah, maybe we rushed into it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But
until you kind of start putting it out there, you don't know what's going to stick.
Exactly. Yeah, there were things that we didn't think were going to sell, and then they're actually sold. So, but how about you guys? Tell us a little bit about you, CoasterBot.
So as you said, we're a British theme park channel. I find it difficult to explain what we do. I guess we make videos about roller coasters, trying to explain about how they work, about kind of the
history.
The history, themes, and storylines behind certain attractions. Kind of almost a bit scientific. That's kind of the angle that I've always taken with it. So if you're into kind of explanatory, factual videos and you want to learn a few things, like why do roller coasters get faster as the day goes on, then CoasterBot is the place to be. That's what we do in a nutshell, really.
But I think a lot of people know you from YouTube, of course, but also on your website there are articles, and something that is launched now is Vote Coasters.
Oh, yeah. So 3 years ago, I think, 3 years ago, one day we were like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to do a random poll? So we created a poll to try and find the UK's best stall coaster, because we wanted to start small and then kind of expand up. So we did that and found out that Nemesis was the UK's best stall coaster. I wouldn't say that, but our viewers said that.
What
so
would
we
you
got
say?
What would you
we're going to stop you right there. Thank you for the information.
So I would either say, I haven't nailed down my rankings right now. I'm going to do that soon, because I have to, obviously, for my own poll. But it's either the Smiler or Icon.
Ooh.
Okay.
I did not expect you to say Icon.
Yeah, what would you say?
The Smiler.
Fair, yeah. Not a big invert fan.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
put that out there.
I don't know why we aren't, but it's not our thing, is it?
No.
Wait, which one's not your thing?
Just inverts, inverted coasters generally.
They're an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I went through an era where I frankly didn't like them at all, and then I think I rode Black Mamba at Fantasia, and I'm like, these are okay. I think I like these, and then and now they feel nostalgic. But for a while there, I kind of felt like they were silly.
Well, I have always personally been kind of like a looper kind of person.
Yeah.
So inverts kind of do fit that category. People always seem to be like, oh, airtime hybrids, and I like airtime, but I think loopers kind of offer like a varied layout usually, and so I've always been a looper fan. So I think I always kind of like inverts. Yeah, personally.
Front row.
Definitely look for
on inverts.
A mixture of forces. You know, that's my ideal coaster. And one of the reasons I don't really like inverts that much is because they're always just kind of hardcore positives. You know, always just nailing you into your seat, and you just
There's
you don't really
Like
feel
Nemesis
anything else.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Nemesis especially.
Yeah,
They'll take your shoes off if they're
Yeah,
not tied
the
off.
Batmans do that too. Where like it's a 30-second ride,
Batman the
and you
ride
get to the break run, and you're like beat
abusive.
up, and it's like, wow, the thing is small. Like, what happened? Yeah,
Especially when it's backward. Backward Batman.
Ooh, that sounds awful.
Does it? Yeah. Your
See, I
face
enjoyed
says
it,
all.
but like, yeah, it's not re-rideable.
I took
like, it's
Julie
not.
on it at Six Flags Over Jordan. It had been raining all day, and they finally opened it, and she hadn't. A friend of mine who likes roller coasters very casually, but was like, "Oh, Batman's, I've been on this before, like it's fine." And it's like, "Well, the train's backward now." She's like, "Oh, it's probably fine." And I was like, "Yeah, it's probably fine." And we rode it, and we got back in the station. I like fell over. It was not. We sat on a bench for like half an hour, like we were just
That's
like,
one way
wow,
to
that
keep
was-
your queue times down.
That was
like no one will
more
rewrite
than I
that.
bargained for.
Yeah.
But I did it. I cried, but did the thing anyway. My little blue ribbon.
Anyway, we did a poll. Go back to that. Nemesis. Don't agree with that. There you go. So then everyone liked it. So then the next year we thought, oh, we'll make it a bit bigger this time. So we will find Europe's best coaster. And Europe's best coaster was Wildfire, I think. Also wouldn't
Makes
agree with
sense.
that. But sure. And then the year after that, so this is the fourth time actually. So the year after that, we expanded again to the world's top 100 roller coasters, and as you can imagine, the world's best roller coaster was allegedly Steel Vengeance, which it's a very kind of generic opinion, I guess.
Oh yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So this year, obviously, when you're finding the world's best roller coasters, you can't really expand much more. So this year, we wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to take part. So we created a website where you can easily search for the roller coasters you've ridden, drag them into a list, and then you can change the list. Like drag them up or down to order them. Yeah. And it's been a huge success. I think we've had already kind of like 4 times the amount of people than last year do it.
Oh, congratulations,
Oh,
guys!
that's great.
That's awesome. But
We
we'll
have
also
to-
do
we're
that.
gonna do
Yeah.
Please
I
do.
already
Great
did it,
algorithm.
and I was the one that sent you to change my username because I accidentally used a password instead.
I see.
Yes, I was that guy. But
Yeah, you're the
no,
reason
it
the
was
help
fun.
desk exists.
Sorry, but I find it really fun to do because I was like all the time switching up coasters. Like, okay, no, that should not be better than this one, and then
Yeah.
But it was
I play a
It
lot
was
of
fun.
this or that. in
Yeah,
your head.
we've done the Golden Ticket Awards the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Which I like, but I can't help but think that God, what do you call that? The people participating in it are kind of all from the
Panelists.
same region, the panelists. So I like the idea of it being a little more open source,
The Golden Ticket
like
Awards,
you guys.
like I've been voting in the Golden Ticket Awards for 10 years now, and it involves campaigning. It helps to know lots of people who are on the panel, and then get your megaphone out and say like, "This is what you should be putting." Because
This is so America,
important. Like, please rank this park. Like, please pick anything other than
Cedar Point.
For best park, and like. We want to highlight this park because, like, not a lot of people have been here, but it's, like, the best. And so that's how some of those things happen. Like, when Europa Park finally took the best park in 2014, it was kind of like a bunch of us on the ACE tour that went. We were like, okay, we've been here for 2 days. The park is amazing. Like,
See, for me, I wonder with like polls. You mentioned that Wildfire came out as Europe's best. Then in my head, I'm like, how many of the voters actually wrote that? Okay, but isn't it like kind of removed?
It's a little obscure.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? The poll isn't just a popularity contest like the Golden Ticket Awards is.
Yeah.
Bases much more on people's rankings. So it doesn't matter how many people have ridden it. If everyone who's ridden it it's at the top of the list, then it's going to do very well.
There you go.
Kind
See,
of
I like that.
Poll
Yeah.
back in the day, or like Elo.
It is. It's the same
Elo
system as the
like
Mitchell poll.
It's like a super weighted thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to vote. So, and anyone listening, you should totally participate because the more people involved, the more accurate the result.
Yes.
And, you know,
Exactly.
so
I want some interesting stuff to.
I know.
So do
to
I,
Wash
yeah.
out on
I want
top.
Tron to be number one.
I want some China stuff, and I want you
have high expectations.
Yeah.
Zoe,
well,
did you already fill it in?
I haven't yet. Harry used my account as an example, so I'm yet to change
you
it, but I
so
will
you're
be doing
already
it.
okay.
How many coasters?
Yeah,
have you
Harry
ridden,
voted
Zoe?
for me. I don't know, probably
80 or so?
Yeah,
That's great.
not
It's a great
not
start.
many.
And they've all been since you kind of got roped into the hobby. Had you ridden any?
So I used to be petrified of roller coasters, and then
Oh, wow.
when I was 15, I met Harry, and he started dragging me to theme parks, and I was like, "Listen, I'm not going to go on any of these rides, so why are we going?" But anyway, yeah, he literally forced me on. I think we went on Colossus first at Thorpe Park.
You started her on
No,
Colossus.
we went on Nemesis.
Oh.
I wouldn't do that. This is it.
It's like
Colossus.
the idea is for her to like roller coasters, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's why, because that's like the only big one I'd been on, and I was like, these are insane, like, why do you even go on them? So then we went on Nemesis, which was like smooth for once, so I was like, okay, maybe they'll be alright, but then I think we went on Stealth that day as well, and I was
Swarm
like,
after Nemesis and
yeah.
Inferno.
So I gradually like built up, and now I'm pretty dead to them, so
Yeah. So now
Here we are.
and you're very matter of fact. You're like, okay, I've
And
got
now
my-
she's recording
Now
podcasts.
she's like, I've got you ride a roller coaster
Literally.
and you've got your mental
Yeah.
clipboard and you're like making notes and things in your head as you're just whizzing by at 70 miles per hour.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, I like this.
It's like,
This reminds
it's
me
tracking
of this
so well
coaster.
today. It's
Like,
like, yeah, it's really is tracking well today.
I must be on train 3 today because it's tracking a little rough on the right side, and I think there's a pothole on this part of Oh yeah,
I remember liking this
Exactly.
corkscrew better last
it's a
time.
slippery slope.
Yeah.
It really is.
And that's where you go from like being an enthusiast to being way too critical
And
to the
then-
point that people just like don't
And then
like
they
you
take your
anymore.
picture on the coaster, and you have this very like puzzled face where you're like, you look like you're doing a math problem in your head, and you're actually like thinking about all of the other coasters you've ridden that led up to this point, and the way that they remind you of other things, and yeah.
Or in the case of Cedar
Yeah.
Point, you're like, this is not that good.
Yeah.
But that's
Our
all.
arm ride photo of Valraven, where we're all just like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? Why? What
I
is
can
this?
see
Why?
that for sure. Yeah.
So Sven, do you have any like fun rando questions you come up with? Because you're the quiz master, generally speaking.
The quiz master.
Yes, our game show host forever.
Yes. So the idea was that to start off and to get to know each other a little bit, I have some terms, and you guys need to reply to them. So it's not going to be like favorite coaster or anything. It's going to be a bit more special.
We're doing
But let's
word
start with a.
association.
Say that again. No, yeah, it's let's start with an easy one. What is your guys' favorite theme park snack?
Oh, theme park. Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, let's start with Coaster Bod, and then we'll go
yeah,
second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Snack or like food generally?
what that you
Snack.
take into a park.
No. As in like there's food at a park,
Like
and there's a
meals.
snack,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Something that's not like a whole meal. Something that you can
that-
technically eat on the go.
Fun.
Yeah. Can also be like a dessert or
Yeah.
Thing is, the UK's rubbish
We don't. I,
It's like fish and
for
chips.
snacks,
I'm glad you
though.
guys said it because I didn't want to say it, but
Yeah, the food situation is like pretty dire.
I'm not gonna lie.
I remember. I distinctly recall my peas on toast experience. Just because you had to. I know you're giving me this look like people don't really eat that here.
It's like when people go to Holland
Well,
and
we're
wear wooden
told that
shoes, and
we
we're like, no, we don't do
supposed
that
to, so
though.
we did, and we were like, well, okay, we did peas on toast. That was the most thrilling attraction of our UK
Oh my
tour.
god.
awful.
And I had fish and chips every day.
Classic.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong.
every day.
No, I'm trying to think. We don't really go for snacks that often. So my answer is going to be very boring. Here we go. Do you know what a 99 is? The Love Zoe's laughing.
A 90.
I don't know.
Is that an ice cream thing?
Yeah,
It is an ice cream.
So,
Okay.
you know, whatever it's like Dole Whip, right? But actual ice cream and like milk.
Okay.
Vanilla ice cream
Okay.
in a cone with a piece of chocolate sticking in with some like sauce on top. Very boring, but
So just
very
soft serve,
British.
really.
That's a perfectly acceptable
Okay, I like
answer.
soft serve.
Vanilla soft
And where
Yeah,
serve.
can
no, it's
you-
soft serve. Yeah.
Where can
Yeah.
you eat it?
What do you
It's
mean?
like in a cone, so
Yeah.
you so you
Yeah,
lick
no.
it.
Where in which park?
Oh, like everyone.
Oh, okay.
So in the
It's just a
how you
thing.
pick it.
I missed them then.
Yeah, in the UK we have these things called ice cream vans where they drive by people's houses, play a tune.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Find
you
that
see it
so
in like
creepy.
American stuff.
I always like
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
kids getting
We have those,
abducted
yeah.
by an ice cream guy, but that's probably more of an American thing.
Yeah, that's a very
But
that's an American.
they
pastime.
sell 99 or 99 with flake. That's the
Okay.
ideal.
With
You want,
fl-
you want
okay,
a flake,
with-
which is
there
a piece of
you go.
chocolate.
Flake
Okay.
is awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
man.
sure.
Yeah.
So what's yours?
I was gonna say like a slushy, but I don't know if that counts.
Yeah.
Because do you
Yeah.
remember at Gardaland when they had like
Yeah.
all the flavors
Oh,
in the
that's
world?
good.
You get it like in big yards and with
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
different
yeah.
layers of flavors on top. Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
I still
American regional parks have
I
an
have my
obsession with that
slushy
too.
yard from Hyde Park that has like the Krake logo on the lid, and you stick the straw through it, just like the coaster track. I still have that. I
Oh.
have a Holiday Park one too that's transparent. You can see all of your layers of flavors. Absolutely.
Sven, what's your favorite?
Good answer.
Well, you guys introduced me to it. It was the boysenberry ice cream at Knott's Berry Farm.
Okay.
I really like that one.
Boysenberry
Like-
99.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like soft serve ice cream, but then boysenberry, which is
Yeah.
a local.
Boysenberry.
Berry.
It's a hybrid berry made out of a loganberry, a wild strawberry, and a blackberry. And it
Okay.
is Knott's Berry Farms.
That's how it pretty much. That's pretty
Claim
much
to
how
fame.
Knott's Berry Farm
Yeah.
even started. Yeah.
I found it better than the Dole Whip.
I
Oh, I would agree. We don't really do Dole Whip much.
I like the lime Dole Whip.
But you like the sweet stuff though, so you'll go for like the craziest Dole
Really
Whips. But
tangy stuff. I like mango Dole Whip, but it's
is that your favorite snack? You say?
no.
What's your favorite snack?
No, also at Knott's Berry Farm, the garlic fries at La Papa Loca. in Fiesta
Oh
Village.
yeah.
That is my death row meal. Like, it's not even just my favorite theme park snack. Like, that's probably my favorite thing I've ever eaten. Like,
You're so dramatic. Okay.
I am a very dramatic person. You married me, you know this.
If you held my head underwater,
That was a theme of the last podcast where it's like, well, if you forced me down and made me count this ride as a credit, then like maybe. And he's like, why are you so dramatic?
I feel like it's hard to actually pick a favorite snack for me. Maybe I shouldn't overthink it. So I guess I'm gonna go with Satuli Canteen at Animal Kingdom. They have this dessert. I don't even know what it's called.
It's
I just
cheesecake.
always get it, but it's like a little cheesecake.
It's
like
blueberry, lemon,
blueberry, and
cheese.
it's rich and it has white chocolate and it looks like
But
this
it looks
alien
like this
little bubble.
Alien, yeah.
And like it's really rich and really
Very
good.
flamboyant and
Okay.
colorful.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I guess it's something different. I guess
It's just,
that's
yeah,
my favorite
it's
snack.
fun, and it's decadent. It's delicious.
It's definitely
It looks-
not anything in Asia.
Cool.
Let's just say that. It's all like little like little like meat sticks of meat for the snacks, and like no, it's
I
not.
do like the French fries in Japan that are like a mile long.
like a mile long. Yeah,
And
they
it's-
circumnavigate the park.
They make them by like making potato meal and then extruding them into long
Those were good.
threads, and then it's like really like it's like mashed potatoes on the inside, but like fried. Those
Sounds
are good.
good.
It sounds very American.
They're not though. They're just. I
Okay.
wish I could get fries like that here.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay, next is what do you find the most annoying guest?
I can go first. I got my answer ready.
do you?
Go for
Okay,
it.
don't get offended, anyone, but like children. Like, you know, like when you're at Disney and like there's these kids just streaming the whole world together, and it's like your parents paid like $10,000 to be here. I'm paid a lot of money to be here. Like, can we not? Like, can we just like go really chill and like have a fun time? You know what I'm saying? It's like, especially Magic Kingdom is full of that.
You see kids
I
crying,
feel-
and they're like, "Why are you crying? I should be crying."
I know. It's like you have popcorn. I don't. So like,
You don't have problems. I do.
and I get that like being a child in like the heat of Florida is like super exhausting, and you don't want to see Dumbo, but your mom does, and I get that. But at the same time, it's it's like it's kind of annoying to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm not trying to be like.
Childless millennials.
If you have
watching
kids,
the
it's
world
awesome.
burn,
Good for you. But like I know.
There you go.
forever.
I knew it was a dangerous question, but I went for it anyway.
I know it's like it's easy to offend people with that one. Thanks, man.
I guess for me, it wouldn't be not so much people at parks, but like enthusiasts that like have like a superiority ishness about rides that they've ridden or things that they've done. Or I'm like, I always tell people, I'm like, what you've done and where you can go, and like, if you tell people that you're more of an enthusiast because of what you've done, I'm like, that's classist. Like, everybody loves these things that we ride very, very much, and I love.
Yeah, it's like we said in the credit episode.
Yeah.
It's like I was maybe even more of an enthusiast before I started traveling because I was always on roller coaster database and I was always looking at all the information. And I feel like I don't even do that as much anymore. So like the amount of stuff you've written does not classify
Sometimes I
you.
hear chatter at parks about like, well, are you really an enthusiast if you haven't been to blah 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 park? I'm like, yes. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So
Actually.
yeah, for me, it's the gatekeeping and the trying to brag, and it's like having money and going to theme parks is not necessarily an accomplishment. So I guess for me, that would be my answer.
That's a very good one.
Thank you.
For sure.
Can you top that,
Go on.
Zoe?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to offend anyone. But I mean, I don't mind smokers, but it's when they smoke in the queue,
Absolutely.
like
such a Euro problem.
immediately
Yeah.
next to you, so you're literally just standing in smoke and you can't move. That's not fun.
No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
sure.
that's a good
for
one.
Sure.
The queue
Especially
for
when
was
you're
my
not allowed
biggest pet
to
peeve.
smoke.
yeah.
In
yeah.
like Wallaby, when they were still doing that, Wallaby Holland, you'd be like queuing for Express and you'd be just standing there like in the smoke.
Remember the queue for Dynaconda? And
Oh,
it
yeah,
was, like,
in China,
we
too.
photographed people smoking in front of the no smoking sign with staff members standing in the background,
They were all
not
smoking.
doing anything. It's like a Renaissance painting.
Oh my god.
Chinese theme parks in a nutshell. This picture.
Crazy.
Yeah, be China.
That is
Yeah.
a really good one.
Yeah.
I don't think you offended anyone. I think
No,
everyone could
I
agree
think
with that.
I think you spoke to the masses with that one.
Yeah.
That's a universally held belief.
I'd take all three of your options over the one I'm about to say, but for the sake of being different, I was gonna say, and this is gonna hurt people.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh boy.
Right. Everyone who goes to Thorpe Park.
Including yourself.
No, not in that sense, but Thorpe Park's like audience is young teenagers who you might call them, I don't know, chavs.
I was
in
literally
the
going to
UK.
say that. I'm like, are these chavs that I hear about on the internet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're just, they're just teenagers who are always prattling around, being really annoying, just kind of getting in each other's faces
Yeah.
and just.
It's like the first time they've been let out to go somewhere without their parents, and they're all so
Like a
excited.
Yeah,
dog in the
basically.
yard for the first time.
But it just kind of ruins the vibe, you know? It doesn't feel like a nice place to go when there's all these
Gangs.
gangs of like teenagers just hanging around.
Key Club Day at Six Flags.
Reminds
like
me of
that.
Magic Mountain back in the 2000s era. Maybe a little scarier.
because like these Six Flags parks like
firearms
these
were
do
involved,
these
but
events
yeah.
that like cater to high schoolers, and then it's like Key Club like Spirit Day, and then it's always like cliques from high schoolers like just like chanting at each other, and it's the most annoying thing. It's like. I mean, not as annoying as children, but it's annoying.
Children still take the cake.
I guess there are children. Boom.
They
Same
are.
category.
There you go. There you go.
you know what? I still have a different one.
Do you?
I hate, and I will shout at these people.
Wow, okay.
People in dark rides that take flash photography.
Oh my god! We like lost our minds on these people in Gringotts the other day.
Yeah, I flipped
we were
off
really
the
about to
camera.
get like punched in the face by them.
We got a free ride.
We got a free ride out of it.
We
We were
told the
being
staff.
pretty extra, but
we threw
like
them under the bus at the staff, and they were like, "Oh, you guys are at again," which was great because we needed physical distance between those people.
yeah, because they were like
They
about
were
to
ready
throw
to throw
hands.
hands.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're like, "Look, I don't want any trouble. I'm just a lowly pass holder. Like, I just want my Harry
I
Potter
just ride
roller
this every
coaster.
day, and I really want to ride it. Okay.
I just need this therapy very badly. Like,
Oh, that's a
everything
really
is
good one.
terrible, so I need this."
Yeah, I've had it before on Dreamflight at Efteling. And that's such a beautiful ride, and it just ruins everything. And then also on Pirates of the Caribbean, I've had it. And then it's easier to shout as well, because you're in the back or the front of the boat, and you just... I don't
I'm
care.
gonna drown your ass.
Yeah.
We
don't
you
actually
overboard.
condone that here.
No, we had that. Actually, our first ride, I think, on the Pirates in Shanghai, we had that, and that's like all projections, and that was really annoying. And they didn't speak English, and we didn't speak Mandarin, so we really had to be like,
Yeah,
to be
one
kind
of
of
our-
like
I
just
do
screaming, I
recall that
guess.
on
Like,
one of our
I
rides.
don't even know what I said, but I was not having a good time.
Whatever you said, they didn't understand. It's all
No,
right.
it's okay. It's part of the experience.
Okay. Yeah. Next one is a dilemma.
A dilemma.
So you need to scratch one of the three. And it is roller coaster, dark ride, water ride.
So you can only pick 2 out of the 3?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Water ride.
So you're cutting water ride?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I'll cut water ride too.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah,
Easily.
me as well.
Good one,
There you
Sam.
go.
Everyone agrees.
All right, next.
Yeah, I also agree because
I don't know what you expected.
Yeah.
This is why Disneyland Paris doesn't have water rides.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Well-
I'm really annoyed that Disneyland Paris doesn't have water rides.
Yeah.
I'm
Same here.
always severely disappointed by Pirates of the Caribbean because you don't get at all wet, and it makes me upset.
sometimes you do.
Yeah.
If you're in
You're
the
in a full
front
boat.
and then there's
I
this
got-
one turn.
It's not
I
good
got
enough.
wet and on
I
top
would
of
Yeah,
the
it's not
lift.
soaked, but
Like on top of the lift, I was sitting in like the
Yeah.
far left seat on the front row. We're full boat. It was this February, and it was cold out. It was like snowing, and I got wet, and I was like, "Wow,
But
this is
Sean-
Paris."
these people are used to Valhalla, so
True.
Oh,
Yeah.
if you want to get wet, then literally there's elements of Valhalla where there's fountains that are meant to go over the boat, but because they're so old and crap, they land right in the middle of the boat. So you just have a puddle of water in your lap. Like we have a poncho on because you have to be kind of crazy not to ride it without a poncho.
No, you have to have a change of clothes
Literally
for afterwards.
Yeah, and you just end up having like a bucket full of water.
See, like
just
that's too
sitting in your
much for
lap.
me. Even in
Oh, yeah.
Orlando, when it's like super hot out, there's the like
Popeye's bilge rat barges.
in Iowa, you get so wet. Like I don't like that. Like that, there's like a limit for me. Where it's like if I'm gonna have to walk around soaked for hours,
Valhalla's
then I'm like
beautiful,
over
though.
it.
Like, when I wrote it in 2015, I remember it was so neat to look at. And like, yeah, we were soaked. We were Americans. We didn't wear ponchos. We were just like, we're gonna just deal with it.
Rookie
And
move.
we were just wet for the rest of it, but it didn't matter. That thing was so cool. And there was this, I distinctly recall this part with fire. Like there was like a ring of
Yes.
fire that the boat went
Yeah.
through, and a lot of us were pretty tall, and I just remember I could feel the heat so closely on like the top of my head, and I was like, oh my god.
I feel like you can do that in America.
It was terrifying.
I feel like some kid would stick out the hand
it
and then
was
the proper
really
have to close the
scary,
ride.
but it was cool.
That is really cool.
And then we voted
Yeah.
Valhalla best water ride after that on the
There
GTA.
you
We
go.
campaigned for it. We were like, we're all going to vote for Valhalla, right? There was a running gag where we would vote Valhalla in every category. So like best food, Valhalla. Best part, Valhalla. Because we were just so stunned. We were so blown away by that ride. We could not believe how cool it was. So
It's kind of
You
weird
should
that
have
it's at
seen-
Blackpool, in a way. You know?
yeah, you should have seen how I was prepared for it. So I had my jacket, I had my poncho, I put off my shoes, and I put on slippers because it was half October, 10 degrees out. It was stormy at Blackpool, but yeah, I rode it twice.
That's cool.
There you go. Prepared.
Fully prepared. Okay, next one is what is your favorite Ferris wheel or observation ride?
Oh.
Oh.
But I need a second for this one though, because I feel like there's so many great ones.
I don't think I've done that many.
I was
be
going to
honest.
say the Leesburg one.
It's a drop tower.
The Ferris
Oh,
wheel.
the Ferris wheel. I thought you meant drop tower.
The,
then.
the
Oh, yeah.
Ferris wheel we went on like 4 times.
It's cool. Yeah.
The one, yeah. Okay, let me see.
It had air conditioning, I think, in every
did.
cabin.
That's why we went on it.
It's great. Lovely.
So clever. What is yours?
Vienna Weissenbad at
Okay.
Leesburg. Or not Leesburg, at Vienna Prada. Yeah, you guys just said that. Yeah, the one in Vienna that survived 2 world wars and looks like train cabooses on a giant bicycle wheel. That thing is incredible.
I think mine was in Japan, because Japan is obsessed
Ferris
with Ferris
wheels for
wheels.
days.
They're like the biggest in the world. They're everywhere. Like I don't know
Yeah.
why, but There was one at Yokohama Cosmo World that has like the dive coaster one, and like the Ferris wheel itself is wider than the park, so like it hovers over like public streets.
Yeah.
But you could see Mount Fuji and downtown Tokyo. It was a clear day we rode it,
Wow.
and it was air conditioned. So I like that one a lot because a lot of the ones we rode, it was always raining, so we really couldn't see anything. It was just like we're just in this little cabin way up there.
Sometimes you ride Ferris wheels in Japan to get out of the rain.
Yeah, but that one we could really see. We saw Mount Fuji from Tokyo, so I thought that was really cool.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
One of the coolest times I've been on an observation platform of some description was we went to Gardaland and we went on the Intamin, whatever you call it, the arm thing.
The Flying Island.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it was at night time, and you could see across the lake, and there was lightning happening all across the lake. It was pitch black,
awesome.
Really dark clouds, and you just saw all this lightning. It was cool. And,
Also scary.
Scary, but very cool. So that's always kind of stuck with me.
It kind of reminds me of
I
riding
love these rides.
the Orlando Starflyer.
Oh, yeah.
Because like there's always a lot of lightning in Florida, like in the summer because of the humidity. And they'll run the Orlando Starflyer, which is 450 feet tall. It's like a swing ride, and they'll run it pretty much till there's like lightning within 1 mile, and then they'll close it down. But there's always lightning happening all night long, and so you can see many miles away. So you usually are just like engulfed by like these lightning storms. It's not as dark because there's a lot of light and no light pollution, but it's still kind of cool. I get what you're saying. Kind of scary too because you're like, how close is this? Like, you don't know the distance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, yeah.
I was always a fan of these rides, and I used to work at Plopsaland, and I operated the old Mac observation tower. That was so cool because then if it was open late at night, it's the park is close to the beach, and then you could see the sunset on the beach.
Oh, that is awesome.
But another one that I really like is Pagode at Efteling.
Yes.
Oh yes.
And there on New Year's Eve, that is the ride you have to do because Dutch people, you can say that, Sean.
Oh yeah.
Are crazy about fireworks.
Yeah, it's one of the things where like even when I go to fireworks shows at the U.S. theme parks, someone's like, "Oh my god, Disney show," and I'm like, it's like not all that. Like Epcot's world famous illuminations, like I never liked it because it felt so boring. Because Dutch people are just crazy. They'll save up all year and spend like 12,000 euros on buying fireworks to all blow it in 2 hours. It's a thing.
Mad.
Like especially when you live in like the smaller towns, people don't really have much of a life. Like they'll. Sorry, I'm trying to like making a bridge version. I lived in the farmland, and they will literally look up to it all year and like buy crazy fireworks like from China and. And
they even did it by day.
Oh yeah,
like
there's this whole
what's
thing.
What's the point?
It's just all about the sound, okay? Like I spent hours during the day lighting fireworks. Shoot me,
but yeah. So when you're
fireworks.
doing it, you see them all around the park, and first it's in a forest area, so you first have a lot of green, black at night. And then you see everywhere you look, you saw them, and it was amazing. I loved it.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
I love flying
I want to do something like that on New Year's Eve.
The one that I've ridden the most is at Shanghai Happy Valley. The flying island.
That's a really ugly one, too.
Fabulous view.
It looks like it shouldn't be running.
All the pollution that you can see.
You see like 66% abandoned buildings.
All of the ghost cities and stuff. Yeah, that one's a trip.
Speaking of most ridden, my final question was not most ridden, but what is a park that you have visited the most?
Oh, God.
That's hard.
Ours has got to be Alton Towers, though.
Or the most hours clocked in the park?
That's a good question.
How many times have you?
Okay. Is it the most like?
Have you blown at this place? Because
I would say most times you've entered.
Okay.
Most times that you've entered.
That's fair.
Also, for me, it's hard because I've worked at 2 parks.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a visitor, I take it.
Okay.
I kind of should, as a visitor. Okay.
So for me, I think it's still Magic Mountain because living like down the street in Valencia for like a couple of years in my late teens and stuff, and then before we moved to Florida, we were there so often, and it was open year round. So I would say that's probably Magic Mountain. I must have gone a couple hundred times at least. So that's for me.
I think mine is probably the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk because I went there at least 2 or 3 times a week, every week for 4 years.
Yeah.
and it was.
That's California, right?
Yeah. It's over where like I was born,
but we have a bit of an advantage that like we lived in regions where the parks are open year round, 365.
We would go whether the rides were running or
like
not.
right now too. I mean, we've been going to Universal so much and Disney and stuff because of all the downtime. Yeah. So I guess we have that advantage of being able to always go. And I remember like being in Europe and not being able to go to parks all year round, and it being like the whole season thing. Like, the season starts, so you go to the opening of a park for the year. I haven't done that in forever. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So that
How about you guys?
Yours has got to be Alton Towers.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's got to be.
When I was a kid, I used to live right next to Drayton Manor. I don't know if you've heard of Drayton Manor.
I love Drayton Manor.
That drop tower looks so cool
what
to me.
anyone says. I love that park.
It's a really nice park. It just needs a bit of love and maybe some new things.
Some TLC.
It's one of those like high potential parks.
I loved that park.
So I used to live right next to it. So we'd always go like every weekend as a kid. As kids have season passes. So I don't know. At the moment, we visit Alton Towers a hell of a lot more than any park otherwise. So it's probably getting close to the point where my visits to Alton Towers is just about to overtake my visits to Drayton Manor. But yeah.
And then for Sven?
For me, it has to be Disneyland Paris.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm on that recent Disneyland train.
I was a pass holder for years. And I used to go like 7 or 8 times a year because it's only a 2.5-hour drive for me, so that's not too bad. But I haven't renewed it this year because I was kind of fed up with not having new rides. So and for that reason, I got a pass for other parks.
You let your Disneyland Paris pass expire the same year that Sean and I got Disneyland Paris annual passes. And now they're good.
Now we can't even travel there.
Now we can't go. But they're good through March. Like, when are they good till?
I think July next year.
Didn't they? Well, they're going to extend.
They're going to extend again, probably to like September next year.
So like fall of 2021. We'll get back there. Paris is really easy for us to get to, like from Florida, because like I'm a flight attendant, so we just hop on a plane, we find empty seats, and we go, and we land. We land early.
Yeah, we usually get like because I work in hotels, so we'll just get an airport hotel, and then we'll just take the train over and back, and so it's a really economic, quick trip for us.
It's easier for us to go to Paris than Los Angeles, so we like Paris a little better sometimes. So I think we'll go. I
like LA.
I like LA a lot too, but it's Paris,
But on the topic of Disneyland Paris, actually, we watched your video last night, Coast, about the 10 most visited parks in Europe, and I was kind of in awe that like their attendance dropped by like a quarter over the course of 10 years from 2009 to 2019. I didn't quite realize it was that crazy of a drop in attendance.
I guess that is what happens when you literally don't add a new ride for a whole decade. I don't know how long it is. When was the last actual new attraction that went into the main park?
They build like.
The ride that they
Buzz Lightyear?
Buzz Lightyear was instead of the Visionarium, but a new ride from scrap in Disneyland Park itself is Space Mountain.
Yeah,
that's awful.
Yeah,
just 95 years.
However, you have of course the Walt Disney Studios, and there they added.
Yeah, that's pretty much like one ride. Yeah.
Garbage, isn't it?
I mean, I guess to be fair, though, like Anaheim Disneyland was kind of guilty of the same. Like we got some oddball stuff like in the early 2000s, and then
nothing took us.
Like we got Winnie the Pooh in like 2004 or something, and then it was kind of just incidentally like there was not much to do or not do at that park as far as new attractions and things, and then like Galaxy's Edge just sort of happened, and people were mad. Because they felt like it didn't really suit Disneyland. They were like, this belongs to California.
Yeah, it definitely is a very modern idea
but
for
I'm just
Disneyland.
Like, you guys just aren't used to getting new stuff at this park, like because we haven't gotten a new ride in 15 years. Like,
I just find it so funny that Disneyland Paris hasn't gotten a new ride like from scratch since '95. The Hail Mary Pass was also like their last pass. Yeah. But then their gate next door is still like opening year roster small. It's so weird.
Space Mountain.
But again, I do like that resort.
Yeah, that's what happens when you add the second gate. It's the new baby, and it gets all of the attention,
or lack of it.
Especially when it's California Adventure or Disney Studios, where it's like this half-assed.
But people sometimes forget that the Walt Disney
thing.
World second gates took so many years. I mean, Hollywood Studios finally kind of feels complete after like 30 years of
It took
existing.
so long for Hollywood.
It took Hollywood Studios
to
30
feel like a
years to
complete
finally get
attraction.
something cool.
Epcot is still a disaster. It's been a disaster.
It's a
since
construction
the day it
nightmare.
opened. It's still, and it will be a disaster until the end of time. Like, it's just, I just don't know if there's any fixing it. There's room for improvement, and there will be more and better rides. But I feel like a place like Epcot seems to like accumulate issues and problems as quickly as they solve others. So I don't know if it will even.
Well, yeah, but that's what they're addressing now is like parks that kind of try to predict the future. They're immediately like
problems.
outdated. You
bad
know, like the
idea.
future is no longer something. So they're moving away from that. So I think they're finally on the right track where they have, after 30 years, finally given up on the whole like future idea.
Yeah.
And I think that is the first step into their success. I think so.
After 40 years, they gave
40
up.
years.
I mean, the park Epcot is
Almost 40 years
yeah,
old.
and it's we'll see. We will see. We'll hold my applause until things are actually fixed, but it won't feel like Epcot anymore if it's actually functional. You
That's a
know?
good thing.
It'll feel like a different park, truly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's jump into the main topic. The idea was that we, since we have ridden a lot of different coasters, but not everyone has ridden the same ones. The idea was to put together two coaster types and to see which side we're on.
But the trick is that it's per team. So you guys on CoasterBot have to together pick a coaster
dear.
type. And then us
This
three,
is
which
not
is even
gonna be
wilder
good.
because Sven and us just don't you seem to be on the same page, have to pick our own coaster type. So it's going to be literally Coaster Kings versus Coaster
A
Bot.
ship divided cannot sail,
Exactly.
and this is what's going
And
to
this is not a sunken treasure. So we're going to be...
You have to do a vote. There's three of you, you know. If two sides one way and one side's the other, there you go.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, so that's how we're going to play the game. And continue on, Sven. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I hope I don't have issues in your couple situation.
We went through the list during lunch. We're like, yep, this is Sven's, this is ours, this is Sven's, this is ours.
like, so
Wow.
this is how Sven's going to feel, and we're going to be overruling these every time.
We'll see. We'll see.
Sorry in advance, Sven.
So it's going to be fun, though, because I'm excited to see in real time how Zoe and Harry will kind of like battle that one out. Because we don't know them as well,
Yeah.
so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm curious about your different. Sean and I occasionally our differing tastes manifest, and then people are surprised that we have different opinions.
But
about anything.
we've kind of grown
And
towards
I'm
like the same.
like we've been together long enough. We have kind of a shared mind, but at the same time, there's things that I like that he doesn't, and vice versa.
I feel like
like-
we're kind of the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No, like the
Yeah.
same as like what they just said.
Don't know. In a way,
I guess we'll
perhaps.
find out.
We'll find out.
Some similar, some differences.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We're already arguing.
Well, honestly, that's what I love about you guys' podcast is when you guys are quarreling about
Oh yes.
Everything.
opinions.
I don't get. I mean, the main channel of CoasterBot on YouTube, right? As I said, very factual. I don't really put my opinions on there because when I made it, I watched all these other people on YouTube who, you know, were putting their opinions out there, and people going, "Oh, you're wrong. You're just wrong." I really didn't want that, so I never put my opinions out there so that people couldn't comment that I was wrong. Obviously, they still did because, you know, you get facts wrong or whatever. So I still got a few of those comments, but I find the podcast as a place for me to talk about my opinions, so I get to really ramp them up, and then Zoe has to listen to my rants.
It's honestly
Yeah.
kind of cool because I think for us that like non-opinion ship sailed like a long time ago. I feel like
Yeah.
everything you write is like super opinion based.
It got hard when, like, the more you do this and the more things you see, and then we're like, well, our opinion of this ride at Cedar Point is the work of all of these things that we've done and all of the things that we've felt over.
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, you're still wrong because Cedar Point's the best. And we're like, well, okay, fine,
Yeah.
fine.
Well, let's start then.
All right, Sven,
Okay.
what's the first one?
Exciting. The first one that I sent was a B&M Wing Coaster versus a Mack Big Dipper. What does Coaster Butt Team say?
So you haven't done a Matt Big Dipper.
Okay.
So let me tell you what it's like.
Okay.
Imagine Icon,
Yeah.
and this is definitely not opinionated at all. Imagine Icon,
Yeah.
but you take all of the forcefulness out of it, and now it's just airtime.
What forcefulness?
The bit where exactly. That's true.
Agreed.
There's not a lot of it, but
Most intense
Okay.
roller coaster in Great Britain, eh?
so that's what Big Dipper is.
Okay, so
basically.
we're going B&M, yeah?
Harry's face is like,
I haven't thought about it yet.
Okay.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
guys have
I don't
ridden
think-
the Swarm, and you've ridden...
I've been on all the Merlin ones. So Swarm, Slug to the Monin, and Raptor.
Raptor's
Zoe's done
good.
Raptor and
Oh, you
Swarm.
guys have a pretty
That's-
balanced
yeah, okay.
lineup of those. Okay.
So and then Harry, what do you think of? So you've ridden Lost Gravity.
Yeah,
I'm guessing because Dynamite is kind of obscure. That's the only other one so far.
I really liked the first half of Lost Gravity. Really liked it. The second half I thought was crap
Okay.
because it was.
All right.
I felt it was boring
Like the
and
pacing.
slow.
Compared to
Compared
It's a
to
special
the
pacing. Yeah.
aggressive, yeah.
See,
And-
I was surprised by it, but that's because Sen was like kind of giving me that warning before he rode for the first time. He was like, pacing is different. And once I had that in my mind, I realized that I don't think the ride is trying to be the same the whole way through. I think they really tried to do like two rides in one sort of aesthetic where like it really is two different
It's
experiences.
a transformative performance where it's something different in the second half, which I can appreciate. Some rides do better at that.
I'd
than
appreciate
others.
it, but then the first half is literally 10 seconds. And then,
The second
it's a bit like, I want a bit more of that good stuff before we get into the different stuff, you know, so...
Totally understand.
Like how respectful Harry is about the
Totally.
different stuff. Okay.
You're so articulate.
I used to really like Lost Gravity, but the last few times it had quite some rattle. And I don't like rattle.
No,
Yeah.
don't like that.
But obviously, it was also during COVID, so they didn't fill the whole train.
Yeah.
The one thing that bothered me about Lost Gravity is I never got to sit on the wing because I was too tall. You know how like they have a height limit for the wings?
Yeah.
And so I could only sit in the middle, which means it's still a great ride, but obviously the wings were designed to be like the cool edge, and I was too tall to be cool, and I was like, well, that
Too
sucks.
tall to be cool.
Yeah.
Sean Verheyen memoir.
Story of my life, not kidding. Okay, so I guess, are you guys going with Wing Coaster then?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a bit close. Like, I don't know how I feel about wing coasters, just generally, you know.
If it's Raptor, then 100%.
Yeah, we like Raptor
Yeah.
the best, which I think
Me
in
too.
itself
We
is...
haven't ridden
I
Raptor.
haven't heard that opinion. I think it's quite a rare one.
I've done
really
all
likes
the ones in
Raptor.
Europe,
Yeah.
so also Phoenix and Furious Baco, but that's then, of course,
Serious
wing.
back.
But I agree with Raptor because it has the near miss elements, it has the theming, it has it just feels right.
I just felt it was a bit more powerful than the others. I don't know about what about it. It just felt like it had more of a punch. And then you say, as you said, near misses. Like, you can't build a wing coaster and not put near misses on it. What's the point? You know, like Flight to the Monin doesn't really have that many. And then, one in America, Wild Eagle. That shouldn't exist. Just genuinely, you can't. This is what I mean. You can't build a wing coaster and then not include near
Dolly
misses.
Parton can do whatever the hell she wants.
Or she can't because she's
You are
RMC'd
treading
and
on
RMC
sacred
man. So
ground.
you know.
Wow, we're starting off pretty rough here.
We take back what we said about you being
Yeah, Harry, what the hell? So first of all,
sounding like an American man. You better watch out.
so I'm a wing coaster nerd.
We love wing coasters.
Like we're like wing all day, every day. Like I like Met coasters, but there's only been two, like the Big Dippers, and I feel like it hasn't quite shown how like varied the lineup can be of elements. You know, I mean, there's still only two rides to look at, even though they're quite different.
Yeah.
But on wing coasters, we've seen them do them all. Like Phoenix is such a fun approach, and then like Wild Eagle is a cool approach because it's located on a mountain and it's actually really cool.
I get that it seems like a very
It seems like they took a sit-down coaster and then made it a wing coaster, which I feel you shouldn't do.
yeah. Well, and then in their defense, it was also the first wing coaster in the United States. It was the second only to a Raptor. And Dollywood's, like, their market is historically has never been about aggressive rides. It's just kind of been incidental.
Well, it really fills that family gap in that park. And I think maybe
Wild Eagle is surprisingly is kind of their family experience relative to some of the other major rides they have there.
Yeah.
It's very popular with children who are.
I would say it's still probably the most popular ride
to
there.
Ride it.
Yeah.
It's all about highlighting the natural beauty of the region. And I will say that the ride has gotten better because I wrote it like the month it opened, and then we rode it last year, and I think it's gotten better with age. It sounds like Raptor has gotten better with age too, because I hear about Raptor more now than I did when it was new. And people were rushing out to ride this prototype B&M thing. Wild Eagle, there was a lot of care taken in maintaining some of the foliage around the ride, especially towards the end with like the trees and stuff. And as it grows in, it will get better. And our near misses for that ride will just be natural elements as opposed to thematic ones. But that's fair. On the other end of the spectrum there, you have like X-Flight at Six Flags Great America, which is like all of the bells and whistles, all of the the keyhole tricks and stuff, and like I liked it, but I don't think of it much.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like wind coasters are some of those rides that are frequently built as a centerpiece or as an impressive off-ride experience almost. Like Wuchi Sunek Land has the tallest one, Falcon. And everyone online is always so hyped about it.
God, Falcon,
but
Falcon.
we didn't like it that much because it almost felt like they were so focused on like weaving it through the rock work. We liked it, but not
a good ride.
But I don't think it lived up to the hype.
Better. It stole the show.
But I feel like they
Don't
were
get
so
me started on Blue Fire. That's a whole separate one.
Look, the Blue Fire clones, I think, have a better rate of acceleration than the one at Europa Park. Because I got into someone about that too. They were like, "Oh, what do you mean the Blue Fire clones have good launches?" I'm like, "The clones, not the original one." I'm confident.
I haven't ridden the original. I've only ridden clones.
In Wuchi was like a better launch than the one at Europa, because I don't remember the one at Europa Park feeling like that.
Is that the one that got stuck?
Yes,
yeah.
People are like, "Well,
it has a better launch
because the launches suck." I'm like, actually.
The main reason is that like the park is located on this weird plain. It's crazy amount of wind through the mountains. Yeah. So like even during our visit, it was closed for most of the day because of winds. So it's just I don't know. But I know I'm going to say wind coaster.
Good. Yeah, for us, it's all about Parrot Coaster at Chimelong Ocean Kingdom.
That's one of my favorite coasters.
My favorite B&M. Period.
Yeah. It's a really good coaster.
It's really hard for me to choose even like Fury 325 or Black Mamba or Nemesis over.
And I think because the approach
ride.
was so unusual, it only has 3 inversions, but it's really long. And so the whole ride is just mostly kind of like integrated with like the midway and like trees tunnels, and fog and
beautiful. You could tell.
I think it's just kind of different approach.
This ride was built around a completely new amusement park, and the entire area of the park was dedicated to cradling this ride. Really, the whole back of the park was about framing this coaster. So there was no stone left unturned. Every possible way that they could have taken advantage of this ride's placement and the size of it. I mean, everything. The colors, the trains are these beautiful scarlet macaws with LED lights in the feathers and stuff that glow when the trains go at night. I mean, the ride is just sensational. It's a feast for the senses, and it's just beautiful. Like, we just like pretty things. Like, we like pretty theme parks and pretty roller coasters, and this one is just incredibly satisfying, and not super inversion heavy. Like Sean said, it's 3 loops, and that's it. And I think a lot of coasters like Banshee, which we like.
Yeah, I may have contradicted myself earlier when I said that I like loopers, but like it's all about a varied lineup. Really,
I enjoy when B&M coasters are, for every element on Parrot Coaster that's a highlight because it's an inversion, it has an equally impressive moment that's not an inversion. It's a great drop. It's a great moment of forces. It's a tunnel. It's helixes. It's all. There's so many things going on in that ride, and it's just such a beautifully orchestrated ride. And there's other great wing coasters. I mean, like Thunderbird at Holiday World is really fun. It's the launched one. I like Wings of Glory.
Yeah, see,
HP
yeah, you can
World.
tell that we're totally wind coaster nerds.
Even though it looks
we're like,
basic, that's a fun
we can go
one.
on. We can do a whole episode about that. So anyway, Sven, what do you think? Are you on Team Wind Coaster?
Well, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay,
Are
cool.
you?
Well, that was pretty simple. We're all
I
on
think
team.
and I think Harry and Zoe should. I saw that you guys planned to go to Efteling this year, but obviously because of COVID that didn't happen. But if you go, you also need to go to Toverland.
We were planning
They
to,
deserve
yeah.
a visit.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah,
And
we had
Phoenix-
a big road trip.
Yeah.
You'll see that Phoenix is the most forceful one of the Europeans one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say even
So,
globally.
Yeah, that's a
Really?
particularly forceful
Yeah.
ride.
Because even HB World's Wings of Glory is very compact. It's a
Some
long
tight
train.
moments.
So it gets pretty intense on that too. But Phoenix just does that helix. And honestly, it is a power move. Like, it is so
Yeah.
strong and so intense. And it's like, wing coasters are generally a little more friendly than
That's another
Phoenix
good example
is.
of one
Yeah.
that's like, it's not super inversion centric. It has inversions, but for every inversion it has, it also has an equally strong non-inversion element.
Yeah, and that's a good one. It was one of those things where I was going between that and Falcon, and I think I like Phoenix better than Falcon
Yeah,
at Fuji. So, like, high praise for Phoenix for sure.
Very.
Okay. So everyone agrees on wing. All
There
right.
you go.
Not much
Now
of
the
a
next
fight
one
yet.
is, I think I already know the answer of Alex, but the Schwarzkopf looping coaster or a B&M invert. So Zoe, I think you wrote both of them.
Yeah, she has.
I'm like, I don't know.
So, Schwarzkopf
So
looping
that's-
coaster. We got. Are we classing like Schwarzkopfs that were built by other people because Schwarzkopf went bankrupt?
Are we talking
And by
about
that-
Olympia looping?
Well,
'Cause that was built by VHS.
yes. And then Liesberg Banan, and then
And like Jetline.
the Jetline, yeah.
Oh.
So for all
Jetline,
intents and
yes,
purposes, it's
yes.
a Schwarzkopf's, yeah.
Okay, so there you go. There's 3.
Okay, but that's tricky because I love Jetline, but I
Uh-huh.
hate the others.
You don't
Yeah.
like Olympia
So-
because okay, this is Schwarzkopf looping coasters, right? Mm-hmm.
So does it have to have a
Yeah,
vertical
so
loop?
no,
Oh,
it's,
so-
it's only
Jetline
one.
don't
So there's
have
only
to.
It's
one.
only Olympia looping then.
Okay, we'll forget that then.
You don't
But
like
then
Olympia looping.
it's B&M inverse, right? So also hate them.
I find that they've both got the same problem, which is
Samey.
they're all about pushing you into your
Forces
seat
across
and
the
nothing
Gs.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pick
But
one.
I would say I'd go with B&M invert just because they're smoother.
Okay.
Based on
And
what
you
I've
go
done,
for the opposite?
No, based on what I've done, which is only obviously Olympia looping, I would agree. I would
Really?
prefer a B&M invert just because the ones that I've done or we've done are a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
I don't like Olympia looping because it's travelling coaster, which is really backwards, but I hate the way it looks with all of the like tacky lights and that.
Breaking my heart, man.
Sorry.
I'm gonna cry. later.
I just, yeah.
Okay.
So-
I find this interesting, you know. Like
it's
how
a really backwards
some
opinion.
people are so into Schwarzkopf, and then other people are like, yeah, they're fine, but they're
For me, it's always been a
Sean's
legroom
kind of-
issue
yeah.
because like the legroom is so bad on those
Like,
that like
okay.
I will really get hurt on riding them.
Mindbender at Six Flags Over Georgia is often regarded as one of the best traditional looping coasters ever built. It is just a stunning terrain focused a ride
It
that
looks
is just a cosmic happenstance. You couldn't choose to hope to build a ride like that anywhere. You just had to get lucky with the terrain and a park and a designer that were all audacious enough to do that. So, like, yeah, when I think of a great Schwarzkopf looper, Mindbender is the one that everyone talks about. But Sean is not as big of a fan of it because the legroom is a problem. And then, yeah, it's pretty snug.
And then they're filled with positive G's. So the problem is that like my legs will be incredibly squished in there. And by the time I get back to the station, my entire body's been pushed in it so far that I can't even get up.
Yeah.
Because my knees are like deep into the foam and my back is like into the seat. And like it is honestly uncomfortable. That's where like the B&M inverts will always have the benefit of being floorless. So like there is no such thing as no leg room.
problems.
And I just think that, you know, a Schwarzkopf looper only has one type of inversion.
Yes.
As where B&M inverts have proven to be very diverse. You have stuff like Banshee, whether I like it or not, but you also have Alpengeist, a crazy terrain invert. And you have Nemesis and Black Mamba, and you have the Batman clones, perfectly solid clone coasters. And they're all so different. And so I'm going to go back again to like the varied product. And I think the varied product here is the invert. And it's still kind of cool, you know, seeing your feet dangle and stuff. So. That's my pick. Well, yeah, but I mean, Sven and Alex, you guys
Sven,
are.
you go ahead and go because I think you go ahead and sound off on this one. I'll wait to the end.
why? Why me?
Because you're probably going to be the decision maker here. Because I think Alex is
might
probably
be.
a Schwarzkopfer.
For that reason, I first want to hear Alex.
Really?
If I'm the decision maker.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know because I don't. Sven, if you're invert, I assume that you prefer inverts over Schwarzkopf loopers, and I don't slight you for that. So, for the sake of that, I mean, we could go ahead and give it to B&M, I think, and I wouldn't contest that because I struggle with the thought of that too. But some of the Schwarzkopf loopers that I've been on, I was just so happy to have ridden them.
I mean, my first 2 looping coasters were both Schwarzkopfs. It was Looping Stars, the Haren, and then Revolution and Magic Mountain was my second inverting coaster. So, like, I have definitely, a childhood Schwarzkopf obsession, too. But
some of the Schwarzkopfs that I've been on they've run the gamut. I mean, Olympia Looping was probably my number 1 bucket coaster at the time when I rode it, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. And then, like, as a child, like, riding Tidal Wave at Great America, Revolution at Magic Mountain, like, Schwarzkopf loopers have been something I've always loved, and now they're getting very rare. And so I've searched far and wide and climbed mountains and jumped out of airplanes to ride some of the more obscure ones.
Jumped out of airplanes.
I got kidnapped.
In the case of, like, Chimera in Mexico City, rest its soul, they started disassembling it this week, apparently. But with that one, I remember when I rode it, I was like, this is so intense. I think this is really going to kill someone.
Just to be sure, what type of is that? Is that with the 3 loopings?
Looping.
Yeah.
Dryer looping. That was at Flamingo Land for a few years, and it had a pretty bad accident. I guess that was last year.
Yeah.
The coaster's probably done. I don't expect it to reopen. But it was I was just so pleased to have ridden it. And then, like, the Bullet, which was also at Flamingo Land sold both coasters to the same parent company, and one built them at their one major park, which is the one in Mexico City, and then the other one, Selva Magica. The Bullet was so exciting just because it was so historic. I was, like, practically in tears because I was just so happy to be riding it. I don't know if I've ever felt that way about a B&M invert. There's something about, like, the journey and the value and the rareness and the fact that, like, Schwarzkopf coasters have not been built for as long as I've been alive, and now the ones that are open are so cherished. So, like, for me, the experience of a Schwarzkopf looper is more than the ride itself, because I feel like the time is running out. And you ride these things, and, like, when I rode the ones in Mexico, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got these rides, because there's not a lot of time left for these. And that was especially true for Chimera, and we didn't even know at the time, although we could have concluded, because that ride, it feels like a car crash. That thing was so violent and so fast.
I love that ride. It felt like a car crash.
It really, I felt like
me when I stumble out of any Schwarzkopf.
It has a 5-point harness, like a fighter pilot harness, so that you don't, like, face plant into the ride vehicle on the turn. Because it's sort of, look at it, you're like, okay, this is like Olympia looping with 3 loops, but, I mean, the tire drives that are meant to, like, serve as blocks for the trains, they just run in one train on it, and they use the tire drives as launches. So they reprogrammed the ride where every time you went through, like, a brake run, it was actually pushing you faster. And then by the end of it, you're just like, the ride is not going the speed that it was designed for. Like, this is really, really aggressive. And
there's something about those, like, dryer loopings crashing, because then the one in Edmonton Mall
the West
also,
Edmonton
like,
Mall
derailed and killed someone.
Yeah,
so, like, it's
the
just
triple looping Schwarzkopfs
Schwarzkopf things
have killed at least 2 people now, doing very similar, like,
sorry, saying those are better than B&M.
It's really,
inverts.
but then, like, okay, I Top Gun at Great America was a favorite of mine. I rode Dueling Dragons the year those opened. Like, I have sentimental love for the 90s B&M inverts as well, too. So for me, it's almost a stalemate. Like, I couldn't choose one or the other, which is why you two can take that decision and call it for us, because I don't know if I'll make
so you're, like,
mind.
half points.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
Sven has to actually really pull his weight.
Yeah.
Sven.
I go for B&M inverts indeed, because, like Harry said, it's harder to theme a Schwarzkopf coaster as well, I feel. Like, there are not a lot of themed ones out there, right, Alex?
The Bavarian Mountain Railroad, which was the original version of what Jetline is now, has, like, the big, bulky superstructure for the mountain facade. that was on I guess another famous themed Schwarzkopf was the one, the Grand Canyon Bahn at Phantasialand, before it burned down. But yeah, no, Schwarzkopfs have historically never been about immersion theme storytelling diversity. Yeah. They were about pushing your body to the limits and getting drunk German people to spend all of their money on tickets. So yeah, it's two very different approaches to a ride concept and aiming to accomplish different things.
They're also such different time frames, though. I mean, when Loopers from Schwarzkopf came out, they were revolutionary. They were the first vertical loops, and they were forceful. And Revolution is such a different ride than any invert. And then by the time the B&M inverts came around, like almost 20 years later, when they really started becoming a thing, I mean, the market had changed, the industry had changed. B&M obviously invented half of the inversions we know nowadays, so it's obviously a bit of a different timeline. So I guess that the modern edge that the newer product has, I guess, also gives it the edge here for me, period.
Okay. So far so good with the VS concept. Everyone agrees.
All five, yeah.
But maybe now with an Intamin launch coaster versus a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster.
Intamin launch coaster.
Intamin launch coaster.
This is a difficult one.
Oh, okay, I'm glad.
Right? I know.
Because, and
it's
you did
sneaky.
this, because theoretically, there can be literally the same ride. The Infinity Coaster, in my opinion, and the clue's in the name, is one of the most versatile roller coaster models that exist. You can do anything with it, which is why, Power Park have two of them, but each one is different.
Yeah.
One's more of an airtime focused with a big drop, and the other's a launch with inversions. Two different rides, but the same ride.
Product line, yeah.
For this is difficult for you because the one Infinity Coaster you've done, the Smiler, is different to perhaps the others.
Okay.
And obviously are you talking, what kind of Intamin launch coaster are you talking about?
I mean, any, I suppose.
There's an infinite number of possibilities.
Because, what they used to call the Blitz coasters, I mean, they're all lumped together into the LSM line now.
Product line.
But, I mean, they're quite varied, because that includes, stuff like the Hefe Sunek one that has, the giant yellow shuttle coaster. That's also an intimate launch. I'm going to take it's everything.
Yeah, it's better to include all of them because also, as you said, Harry, the Infinity coasters are so different as well. And the intimate launch coasters, even though they're the same concept, they can also be quite different.
Yeah.
So I know it's not an easy one.
And I love Gerstlauer. I was campaigning for Gerstlauer when everyone thought that Gerstlauer was crap because of Mystery Mine at Dollywood because it beats your head in. I still love that ride.
See, Gold Rush in Slagharen was one of my favorites.
So
I love that ride.
Hang Time is cute.
It's cute.
Hang Time gets the job done.
I think, Gerst have done quite well in terms of, they've started building these compact roller coasters and then kind of have expanded out of that. And I still really appreciate that. I think that Gerst are the best people to build a compact sit-down coaster.
Yes.
Totally. I would always go, instead of even a Mack Big Dipper, because you're wanting kind of the same thing, but then let Gerst do it and you'll get more out of it. You'll get just generally get more for your money. It'll do more. And I feel like, especially with a vertical lift hill, it has a bit more appeal to say, the average theme park goer. I really want to say the Infinity Coaster just because I want to be different.
Well, you sure are going to be different from us, I think. So that's there.
But Monster at Adventureland in Iowa is awesome, and it's sort of like the one at Powerland, but if it had the Eurofighter drop, it's got that crazy double loop thing with the hang time moment, and that one reminds me. I feel like that was kind of what the Mack Big Dipper.
So I know that we call the Infinity Coaster to be very varied. But I always feel like we're just forgetting how incredibly varied the Intamins are. Because you have Top Thrill Dragster, but you also have Talon, but you also have a inverting and sit-down shuttle launch coaster in Guangzhou. You have all these really weird concepts. You have Taiga. I mean, they're all such incredibly different coasters.
Steel. I love that like
Superman at Magic Mountain, whatever you want to call that. It's also an intimate launch. So I guess that's also really
you've got
very.
like Maverick, which is the sweetheart at Cedar Point. Very aggressive, great transitions, and like a super, super aggressive throw ride. And then you have like Steel Dolphin at Haichang Ocean Park in Shanghai, which is like a little family Maverick, and it's so much fun.
So it has a couple of really
Great
intense moments.
It
has the same train style like Terran, right?
Yeah, which is standard for all.
So it's a
like,
family
intimate launch
Terran.
coasters now. Yeah,
pretty much.
Terran. I mean, Terran's a
I mean, it depends on what time of day
but-
Talon runs. It's the same intensity. But
Terran is a family Terran.
Yeah.
I agree. I subscribe to that one. You know, a lot of people don't. Should have slapped some inversions on Terran. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, we could have used the
I always say that, like, when it kind of does that wave down thing, like after the second launch, I wish there was just like a roll or something in there. Like, it's a big inverted roll.
Miles better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Someone that likes that idea. Appreciate you, Harry.
I like the idea.
I know you do, but Sven didn't, I think. He was on our
Sven never
podcast.
likes our ideas.
That's not true.
What would you say? Smiler or Terran? I mean, that's the only two you got.
Well-
Or like Stealth or something.
Stealth
Or
counts.
Rita. Or...
Stealth
Yeah, but is
matters.
it any good?
Rita. Those are all.
He's like, I don't even want to put Rita in that category.
Oh yeah, Rita as
yeah.
well.
I agree.
Desert Race. Nah.
See, and that's what brings Intamin Launch down for me. Like, yeah, you have these really good ones, but you also have the lesser good ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Intamin's fault that the
I like the flywheel
went for
launch
that, though,
ones.
is it?
I feel
Yeah.
nostalgic about those now.
Yeah, but then we also kind of got to look at when these were added. I feel like
Well-
Intamin's always pushed that limit. Intamin's always pushed
Yeah.
it, whether for better or for worse. They don't age as well, but
Yeah.
they've always pushed it.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at, like, well, when the Infinity Coaster opened in that year versus when Rita opened in that year.
Yeah.
I mean, Rita was remarkable for when it
Rita
opened.
before the same
You know?
year that like the Eurofighter.
Yeah, I mean,
debuted,
honestly,
like,
Eurofighters ain't all that. The early ones, I feel like they don't track as
they were
well.
hit and
They're
miss.
Oh,
especially
for sure, yeah.
Even
So-
now, like the Takabisha clone at Nick Universe in New Jersey.
But I guess that's a
Lots of-
Eurofighter
I
though,
mean,
and not
yeah.
Infinity, right?
And that's what happens when your
potato,
ride sits
potato.
on the floor for like 10
Yeah,
years or something.
but it's like
you know?
it's everyone
Yeah.
says it's rough, it rattles, it vibrates. I'm like, yeah, I believe it. Like Gerslauer, the fulfillment end of Gerslauer rides can be a little.
Yeah, there's some really bad U.S. Gerslauers where the manufacturing of it's been done by a third-party plant, and it's
Yeah.
just not as good.
Yeah.
That's the European ones. That
So
still doesn't
far
answer the
for
question, I
me,
guess.
there has not been an Infinity coaster that I did not like.
Okay.
Although there's been Intamin Launch coaster that I did not like. So for that, and since you two are saying Intamin, I'll go for Gerslauer then.
So Team
But
Coaster
the team
Intamin.
opinion is apparently Intamin Launch,
Okay.
which I can still agree on.
So at least for the first time, we're kind of butting heads, right? Because you guys are Infinity coasters.
I don't know. It depends what Zoe thinks.
I think, yeah, I agree with what Sven said because, like, there's obviously like Taran, but then there's Rita. So
What's wrong with
yeah.
Rita? Rita is perfectly serviceable.
Fine.
it's just aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's what,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I don't like it when it's like rough and just like bashes you about.
Does it still have those old
For, like,
It
restraints?
does have the old
old
rigid
color
harness.
restraints.
Yeah.
They're not
those
very-
are
Even
those are
Cheetah
kinda
Hunt like
stupid. Yeah.
neck checks me all the time, and it's like a freaking kiddie coaster. So I get that.
Rita's just about. I just like the takeoff on Rita. I like stealth. I like that rate of acceleration.
The the hydraulic launches on Intamins are
Hydraulic launches
even the
are pretty
LSM
dope.
launches on Intamin are really impressive.
Like accelerator still takes my breath away.
Yeah.
When we go to Knott's Berry Farm, that's still one of the best.
I mean,
rates of
stealth is even
acceleration.
faster acceleration rate than accelerator. So you guys must
think so,
know what we're
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Should we go Gerst then?
If you're happy to go Gerslauer,
I know
happy to
you want to go
Gerslauer.
I'm
Gerst, so
pulling for
let's go
Gerslauer
Gerst.
too.
I love how they
want-
refer to it
I
as
want one of
Gers.
us to
That makes me
decide that
happy.
Gerslauer is better because I still think of Gerslauer as being the underdog. I remember when I
Oh,
was a
it
kid.
is. It is
Gerslauer
totally the
was the
underdog.
plastic
Yeah.
wooden coaster train company in 1998 when Six Flags couldn't get PTC to build any more trains for their CCI coasters, and they were like, okay, because they were defaulting on all their loans, so they're like, Gerslauer is like, we'll build you a fiberglass wooden coaster train for your 5
That's where the word fiberglass
wooden
battle
coasters.
came from.
Yeah, and yeah, it's, I still remember Gerslauer as being pigeonholed as like this was the BS German wooden coaster train company that like Six Flags defaulted to because they couldn't get the real deal anymore. And
Hey,
look at them
anything to
now.
get into the market, though.
And look at them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So, CoasterBot? is Gerstlauer Infinity.
Mm-hmm.
Coaster Kings.
Intamin
Intamin Launch, then, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
but only Intamin launches, though. The rest of Intamins are hit or miss for me.
Hit or miss. Whereas
Well-
I think Gerstlauer Bob coasters, the little wild mice, are flawless across the board.
Fun
Absolute perfection.
Not all of them. Like Tiki Waka was a bit of a disappointment
Well,
here
just
in
because
Belgium.
Tiki Waka
'cause-
is like family friendly doesn't mean that it's a problem.
Yeah.
I think all of them are family friendly. I don't think there's a
it's
single
still
one that's not
good,
family friendly.
but
Van
I
Helsing will break your ribs, and I
Will.
like that in a ride. I appreciate the.
I know, like you think you know Wild Mice, and then Van Helsing is like, "Girl,
Van
you
Helsing
hold
is
on."
like, Van Helsing will take a baseball bat to your midriff, and I'm fine with that.
So extreme.
I'm going to crush your hearts again, but now I understand why you like old Vekoma and
Old
old Aero
Vekomas.
coasters again, because you enjoy having a car crash, you enjoy
Yeah.
having your ribs crushed.
I'll take bad transitions and violence over poor tracking, fiberglass vibrations.
I mean, there are limits. There are just some really trash old arrows out there. I'll be the first to admit. I have an arrow tattoo, and I'll admit it. But there's also some really good classic
I just don't
characterful
like
ones.
when like well-engineered rides like Diamondback or rides that should be well-engineered, like Diamondback at Kings Island, they rattle, they just vibrate. And I'm like, this isn't a design quirk. This isn't the consequence of designing rides in the 70s and 80s using a napkin and a ballpoint pen. Like, this shouldn't happen. Like, this problem shouldn't exist, and it's just there because of, like, design or maintenance oversight. Whereas a ride like Van Helsing, it's like, okay, yeah, it beats the crap out of you, but you know what? That was on purpose. Like, there's nothing that ride is doing that's a design oversight or a lack of maintenance care or you know, so like that's where I draw the difference. That's where I draw the line between like getting beat up by a ride that's doing exactly what it was supposed to do and getting like vibrated to death by a modern B&M coaster that they just can't seem to solve the puzzle on why that's such a problem. So
Have you been to Movie Park, Harry and Zoe? Not yet?
No, not yet. I
if
think
you
I
like
like to.
Icon, you'll like Star Trek.
Oh well.
It's better.
It's super
Don't
fun.
say that. I've heard,
Wait,
I've heard
Sven, are you
this
saying Star
story.
Trek is better than Icon?
Star Trek is better than Icon.
That's what I've heard too.
Okay,
That's
I'll
the
take
only
it. I love Star
opinion
Trek.
I've heard. I
Okay.
haven't heard otherwise. But it helps to be
That
a
makes me
sci-fi
disappointed.
nerd because the theming and the storytelling component of Star Trek is fabulous. And then it's a great ride too.
The thing is, for me, Icon, when I went to ride it, I knew that I couldn't have high expectations. And because of that, it just was exactly as my expectations. A little bit better than at some points. Like I like after the first hill after the first launch, and then the element after the second launch.
Yeah, the Immelman thing.
Yeah, that's really fun. But it's the launch itself that still. It's the same like for Blue Fire and for Icon. It's the launch that disappoints me a little bit.
Yeah,
but-
Icon's first
Copperhead
launch
Strike
is
has pretty
awful.
weak launches too. I call them like brake runs in reverse because the rate of acceleration is so uneventful. But not all. Mac is capable of doing launches that don't feel like that. It's just that their clients generally don't seem to push for exciting rates of acceleration.
Yeah, the one ride I'm kind of like worried about is like Dreamworld Australia is building a Blue Fire clone with a shuttle launch, and it's like how much slower
swing
can you
launch
make a
Blue
launch?
Fire.
Like,
Yeah.
are we just like not gonna launch the thing? We're just gonna let it run? Like,
Would you agree that Steam Racer had a decent launch?
yeah, but decent doesn't mean good.
It was better than like Copperhead Strike. Like these were better launches.
Yeah, but if you compare it to like intimate launches, that like on an LSM will literally feel like a hydraulic launch. Mac has never done that yet, as far as I know. The next shot is at Sucho with their big new one.
I'm trying to think if there's like a Mac launch that really like took.
No, there
the
isn't.
away.
I'm
Probably
pretty
not,
sure.
but they're not so bad.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
All right, so we had some steel coasters. Let's go to wood coasters. And it's, again, Intamin wood coaster or a GCI wood coaster.
GCI.
GCI.
So,
You've
examples.
I know the GCI we've been on, right?
got Wickerman,
Yeah.
and then you've got Boulder.
Oh, what? Oh no.
It's difficult for you at least, because Boulder's a lot bigger. Wickerman is the only GCI you've been on, right? So, and it's obviously a very small scale GCI.
We haven't been on it.
Yeah, it looks cute though. We
It
watch
looks
videos of it all the time.
adorable.
It packs a punch. Like, obviously, it looks a little bit slow. And,
That like
it doesn't
unbanked
really do
turn,
anything.
like mid ride, looks really cool to me. Where it just like halts for the unbanked turn. It kind of reminds me of Ghost Riders, like unbanked turn a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but then Boulder, we love Boulder, don't we?
Boulder has a special place in our heart.
We absolutely love it. It's such a boring layout, like in terms of on paper. It's just
True.
turn hill, turn hill, turn hill.
True.
But it's so good.
It is so fantastic.
That was my number one for years.
Don't blame you.
So I
Really good.
get it.
I mean, El
totally get it.
Toro is really good.
El Toro
too.
is
Like El
fabulous.
Toro is. I can't believe wooden coasters can tear up like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
The first drop and the first two Camelback Hills on El Toro are
and the length of the train is just like
Exceptional.
God. It is a wild hyper.
yeah. And then there's one really good drop like midway through the ride that is the sharpness of it because it was clearing another ride. Now that ride is gone. Their old wooden coaster that dictated the layout and design for El Toro. That ride is gone now, but we were blessed with that drop in the middle of the ride that was so sharp so that it could clear the superstructure for Rolling Thunder. So we still have that. I think El Toro may be a little overrated, even though I'm obsessed with it, even though it's a great ride. Just because like there's a couple of moments in El Toro that could be as good as the rest of the ride. There's that one hill
Yeah, in the middle of the superstructure.
in the middle of the
it's kind just
superstructure
floating.
that has no air. Colossus disappointed me, the one at Heide Park. I thought it was just okay. But obviously that was
Did you do it, Harry?
Closed when I went to Hyde Park.
Same for me. Yeah.
It was closed for like 2 years, wasn't it? Like it was
It
closed
was.
for it was basically retired and then now it's new, so I'd be curious to ride it again. The only one that I'm missing is T Express,
I heard T Express,
which I hear is the best
fabulous.
one.
Yeah.
They said it is a combination of the greatest qualities of El Toro and Balder in the mountains
Sounds
in Korea. I'm like, I would absolutely, I defer to anyone who's ridden that and they say it's the best wooden coaster. I've never heard someone who's ridden it say that it's not the best wooden
But
coaster.
then
they've ridden.
on the GCI flip side,
On
I feel
GCI.
like GCI kind of invented the whole like twister thing
Yeah.
with like transitions and air and forces coming in like the weirdest moments
I've
where
ridden
it just
so many GCI
bangs.
coasters I can't even count them, and yet
And I feel like they're a little more
them
diverse because of
now.
that.
I used to think they were overrated. Now I think they're the best in the game.
I'm a GCI kind of guy.
I really
It
am.
rhymes.
Trips to Europe, trips to China, trips to the Midwest. It really doesn't matter where you ride them.
They're all really solid.
There's so many examples of great GCIs because there's really only a couple that aren't fabulous.
So, for me, I really like Boulder. But as you said, like the layout is pretty basic. But still, I wanted to redo it because of the airtime. And that's also the only Intamin that I've done. GCI, of course, that was the first time I got to experience a good wooden roller coaster. I have to think which one was my first. It
Was it
might
Troy?
be Yours and the Drac,
Oh, okay.
or
I love
Or
yours
Troy.
in the track.
I think
I'm a
it's
sucker
Yours
for
and
a
the
good
Drac.
racing coaster. I really am.
Yeah, so and Boulder I only did like 2 years ago, but it didn't have the same effect, I think, like what GCI did, because I was used to Weerwolf/Loop Garou at Wannabee, Belgium.
Yeah,
That was like the only wooden coaster I knew.
Yeah.
And a Vekoma wooden coaster is, of course, something different.
Yeah, it kind
so
of describes
I'll
my
agree on
childhood.
the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I'll agree
Having,
on the
like
GCI,
Bandit
yeah.
and Robin Hood is my first two wooden coasters, and Colossus was my third. Magic Mountain, yeah.
So, what are the conclusions then? So, Coaster Kings go for GCI.
Yeah.
Our number one, I think, is Wood Coaster in OCT East in Shenzhen. That ride
They're just very varied.
is
So I would say GCI
breathtaking.
personally.
And they've got plenty of others that are almost as good, but then that one for me takes the cake.
I don't know what we'd choose.
I think based on the limited amount of GCIs we've done, compared to, I'm happy to go with Intamin.
Okay. Me too.
Nice.
Balder is so good. Like, there's just no overstating how good that ride is. So, even if that was the only one and you'd ridden all of these other GCIs and you're like, well, I still like Balder better than all of them, that's perfectly valid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the next is more family-oriented. It's a Maurer spinning or a Vekoma mine train.
Spinning coaster.
Yeah.
There you go.
I swear that's an easy one.
Oh, really? Because I'm like Mr. Mine Trainer.
You guys have a couple of Maurer spinners in Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't ridden the one at Chessington. It was closed. The only coaster that was open on my visit to Chessington was Vampire, but that's okay because I could sit and ride that for literally hours. I could ride that ride for hours and hours. And when the park closed and ER2 was over, they dragged me out of that park, kicking and screaming. I think at the time, I would say I liked it better than Nemesis. I'm so enamored with that ride.
I mean, I like Maurer spinners, and there's some really good ones like Winjas.
Crush's Coaster.
What is your guys' obsession with Crush's Coaster?
Okay.
Because it's pretty basic.
Okay, but Sven, why don't you been to all these Disney parks, and sometimes they really start running together, and people are like, oh, Disney, but then like Walt Disney Studios has freaking Crush's Coaster, and it's so different, and it's so cute.
I would
and
comfortably wait an hour for that ride.
We waited an hour twice to ride
because
that.
we liked it so well.
So yeah, Crush's Coaster.
It's a fun coaster.
It's so, and the part at the beginning, the dark ride part is so cute. We have a little dark ride at Epcot that's Finding
And the lift was like a launch. Like you go through that.
We ride the Epcot dark ride for Finding Nemo because it reminds us of the dark ride portion of the Finding Nemo coaster in Paris.
I mean,
me and Harry fall out about this coaster a lot.
Crush's Coaster isn't a Disney coaster. Like, it shouldn't exist. It's not. In my opinion,
I think you're thinking of Indiana Jones and the Temple of
it's
Peril.
at Walt Disney
No.
Studios.
Oh.
Indiana Jones is crap as well.
I love that ride.
Me too.
I mean, I like Crush's Coaster.
But I agree.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun coaster. But, like...
It's because it's indoors,
it's
right?
It's just a light show. It's like the Rock and Roller Coaster in Paris. It's like a light show. I don't care. I don't want to go on a roller coaster that's a light show. You know?
But that is the history of Disney roller coaster gestation is just goofy,
just
giant.
Just like wait off for a little bit on your Disney ideas because like there's a lot of that like light show shit happening.
Yeah.
Like everywhere.
Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom, the bread and butter, the ultimate.
It's literally just projection.
It's just a big box
stars
in the dark with a disco ball, and people still love it. to love Disney coasters is to be comfortable with
a light show,
with a light show in a box.
Just doesn't do it for me.
I know.
I'm afraid I can't vibe with the light show.
I get it. Obviously, there's other Disney coasters that do a better job, like Big Grizzly Mountain, Runaway Mine Cars.
Like Crush's Coaster, I wouldn't remove it because the Walt Disney Studio needs rides, and it's one of the only ones left. But I totally agree that it doesn't feel like a Disney coaster because once you're in the main building,
once you're in the Gravity building, it's like
you see the projections and I don't know. It's Space Mountain. It's still in the dark, and completely dark, so you don't see all the
track and projections.
The effects. Yeah. While in Crush's Coaster, it's a nice. I like the music, but that's because of the movie.
That layout we have a lot in the U.S. It's just basic. We don't have any custom Maurer spinners in the U.S.
Yeah, I've been on that one a lot.
That Crush's Coaster layout, but without the bells and whistles and stuff. We even have Hershey Park has another indoor version of that ride layout, but I mean we like Crush's Coaster better. Winjas is the one that I
feel like spinners.
The only reason that would make that conversation really hard.
Spinners are also just kind of hard to judge because I feel like ride experiences can differ so much. Like we're the only people sitting in the train and we're sitting on one side. We'll spin like crazy.
Yeah, the one.
If we have if we have a balance card and it's like.
Do you remember we rode the one at Seabreeze and the car didn't unlock?
Oh, that really hurt.
Non-spinning ride on one of them. And it hurt.
Yeah, like that layout is not made to not spin. Like, like that overbank, if you don't spin, like it's really rough.
And then I think I also got a ride on it once where the ride operator was like, "Hey, you want to spin real fast?" And she like manually kicked the brake in the station, and we spun down the first drop and the first turnaround, and I was like, that was painful too. So I've had One of my most memorable experiences on Mauer spinners have been uncomfortable malfunctions of the ride.
Now the question is, does this like versus thing include mine trains like Everest and Grizzly in Hong Kong, or is it just like the more traditional ones like Colorado?
The more traditional ones, yeah.
Well, because Everest and Grizzly are technically they're mine train coasters and technically they're Vekoma, but they're obviously their own product line of which only those two rides exist.
This is kind of hard for me.
I mean, Grizzly is a launch coaster, and that's a nice launch.
but we need to look at the actual mine trains.
Yeah, I know. But I still don't think it's a hard choice because Paris is Big Thunder Mountain and Colorado
is really good.
I think it still makes it easy for me. I still prefer those.
I prefer length
with the exception
frequently
of Winjas
and theming,
which still is very dark oriented. Like, there's not really any Mauer spinners that are like scenic or pretty that I've been on. Whereas the mine trains, Vekoma mine trains, are just gorgeous. Like, if you've got the right resources and stuff, like there's one in China that I rode that had like all this beautiful rock work and stuff. It's all been redone now. We rode a knockoff one of the Vekoma double lift hill mine in
Joyland.
Suit show at Joyland, and that one was really fun with the scenery and stuff. Even though it's not really a Vekoma, we're like, well, this is what you can do with this ride.
I haven't been on Mammoet, but Mammoet looks pretty good too.
Yeah.
I know. I guess I just go for the length and theming.
I wasn't a big fan of Mammoet, honestly.
It's all right. I think it's good. It's not fantastic, but
what
it's
about
good.
Calamity Mine? 'Cause we haven't ridden that one either.
Well, that's like mini Mammoet.
Yeah.
So Sven, what would you say? Are you spinner or Vekoma mine train?
I'm going for spinner, I think, because
Okay, then I'm willing to sit on spinner too.
Yeah, that's I love Winjas too much.
Not only because of
Winjas.
Not only because of Winjas, but there's Tarantula in Parque de Atracciones Madrid in Spain, and that's my favorite.
That's is that a standard layout? Is that
that's a big.
Or is it like a big custom?
I think it's custom.
Oh, you know what one that I rode that I liked that I just remembered that I rode was Salama at Linnenmaki. That's a fun one.
Oh.
That one has a really cool setting. And unlike most of the coasters there, it's not like shorter than 5 seconds. So like that was really enjoyable. I'm trying to think of what other ones I've been on.
And the UK has a few ones.
Yeah, we've got Spinball Wizard and
I like Spinball, the Sonic one at
like
Alton Towers.
A lot of people like Winjas. I like Winjas, but I feel like a lot of Winjas layout is just not very good, and it's built more for other people to look at it rather than the people riding it.
I feel that,
especially the Wild Mouse sections at the very top.
They're kind of funny.
The ride is very gimmicky, which I enjoy about it. It's like, let's put as many different moving track pieces as we can possibly do.
And like the lift hill with the
little bounce at the end. It's like that seems like a maintenance nightmare to me. Like, but at the same time, I kind of enjoy the weirdness of that.
No, there's no Vekoma mine train that blew me away quite the way that riding Winjas blew me away the first time I rode it, because I didn't know anything about that ride.
So should we just go with...
Yeah.
Okay, totally. Let's go with spinners too. Wow, you guys convinced us. Look at that.
Well, and if we're not going to count Everest and Big Grizzly, which is totally reasonable, those would be my two biggest votes for the Vekoma mine train, but it's also fair to say that those don't count. So
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Mauer spinners. I also think Mauer is just really underrated in general. They've got some booger rides out there, but they've got some good ones too. Like
but it's like there's only booger and good ones. There's really not much else to have out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they say
that about a lot of ride manufacturers, though. But then, like, I really liked the one at Drayton Manor.
G-Force.
Yeah.
See, even Harry doesn't like that, and he was born there.
Well, a lot of people did.
Yeah, I rode it. I'm pretty sure I rode it the year it opened.
Quite a bit, and we rode Rip Ride Rocket the other day at Universal Studios Florida, and it wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible. What praise?
The one at
Booger rides and good rides
is really good.
Huh?
The one at Dreevely.
Formula X.
Yeah,
that one is kind of cute. But I mean, it doesn't jump out at you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like Mauer really isn't in the top of the list anywhere.
Winjas is their magnum opus.
What is What is Coasterbot going for?
Definitely Mara spinning coasters.
Okay, yeah. Not a fan of the Vekoma Mine trains.
They're alright. I'm just a real fan of how fun and just funny that spinning coasters are. They just always make me laugh, and they're always a blast.
You get a good
especially
ride
if
on
you
a
get
spinner,
spinning.
and you're like, oh yeah, this is.
Well, and they're rideable to the extent that they're not super
sure.
long, but also every ride's kind of different, you know? Like, I've had crazy spinning rides where I'm like, wow, that was the wildest one yet. Or I've had ones where I'm like, I need to re-ride to get more spin.
Have one too that's like custom.
Bobby Allen, yeah, Diz.
Diz,
or whatever it's called now.
No, Naga Bay now. Yeah,
Naga Bay, yeah.
It was like, we were excited to finally have a spinning coaster, and then we got Naga Bay.
It's funny because it has like that super thick track, and it looks like it'd be expensive, but then like the layout is super short, right?
Yeah, and it you have the. I have to even think about it, but I think you have the first drop, and then you go right into the brakes, and you lose all your speed, and then you have another drop, and it's just I don't like the brake sections.
Yeah.
And the pacing. But.
So what's the next one, Sven? What's the next lineup?
Okay. So this is the B&M Dive versus Entenmann Mega.
Is it really competition?
Well, is it a really competition? I think, because
I think it is.
I feel like we're probably not even on the same wavelength there.
Maybe I guess, what B&M, okay, so
I don't like B&M divers that much. They're kind of one-trick pony-ish to me.
There's some good ones.
Like, I think Baron is cute because of the theming.
Holds a special place in my heart.
And I think Sheikah's cool because of the tunnel in the splashdown.
I think tunnels add a lot of value to dive coasters.
Yes.
But then we rode the two biggest ones with the 10-seaters in China, and I didn't care for them. They were really kind of boring.
The 10-cross ones in China, I enjoy them.
Yeah, they're not
graceful.
like...
They're like
Are those Griffin clones?
No. There is actually... The Griffin clone in Korea is slightly smaller gauge. It's an 8-across version of the Griffin layout, which is the opposite of like what Happy Valley in Shanghai did, which is a 10-across version of
Sheikah. So it's a little bit larger, has a couple more like altitude changes.
And then the Chimelong Paradise dive coaster had the record for longest and tallest until Valraven opened.
And Valraven is absolutely nothing either. Like, it is not a good ride.
It is the worst roller coaster in Ohio.
Yeah, it doesn't look...
so stupid and a complete waste of time, resources, valuable space at space riddle park.
We just like walk by that ride every time we're there. Like, I did not feel like even looking at it.
It's just a sponge for the general public. It's a distraction from the better rides. That's its only surface. It's a hood ornament for us to appreciate.
So I guess it really is not an easy choice then, because I mean, into mega coasters can be hit or miss too, I guess, because Goliath isn't all that, but I also enjoy Goliath a lot more than some other people do.
Money Force.
You're talking about Goliath and
Wallaby
Holland,
yeah.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there another Intamin one for Goliath? I can't. No. All the other Goliath mega coasters are like.
I always doubt
companies but I guess the only Intamin Goliath is that one.
But then I don't like Millennium Force. I think it's overrated.
I
like the first drop and the first turn, but then it's kind of mellow.
I like Thunder Dolphin.
But Thunder Dolphin's
in Tokyo
cool
because it's so scenic.
And then that Superman one in New England, even though Let Bar suck, it is a powerful ride.
It's a great layout.
This is hard because I'm not even like that big of a fan of either product line.
Lights, like Kawasemi and Paraton and stuff, are overrated. I don't think they're that great.
Wait, does this include stuff like Intimidator 305? Because that flips the switch for me. Intimidator 305 is one of my favorite. And so is Skyrush. These rides are so intense that, like, I will gray out, like, car crash to the max, really.
Sean
like, it is
some
good stuff.
7 times in a row when we were at Hershey Park, and I did it because I love him.
I love it too, but, like, that's a really good ride. You know what I'm saying? So, actually, I'm going to go Intamin because I can't believe I forgot about those two. Yeah, those two are really good.
I think I would have gone with Intamin anyway. The one dive coaster experience that for me, even though it's not my favorite B&M dive, it's still the one that I remember the most, is G5 at Jump for So Fancy World, just because the setting is so spectacular. And I cannot believe it's a carbon copy of Oblivion, because you can see so much more of G5. It feels like such a big and tall ride, and it really I never appreciated what they accomplished with Oblivion and how far they dug into the earth to make that ride work. Until I
It's
wrote
like nearly
G5.
2/3 of the drop is underground.
Yes, there's so much ride to it. I mean, it feels short. And that's really highlighted by the fact that so much of the ride is...
I wonder what it's like doing maintenance on that and being in the bottom of the tunnel and then being like so far from Earth. Like, from the surface.
G5 is just a spectacular... That was another one where I was just thrilled to be riding it and being there at all. Like the novelty of being in Taiwan in the jungle riding roller coasters was enough. But it has a great drop. The view, that has the best view of the first drop of just about any coaster. I mean, you look and you're up on the edge of this mountain, and it's just in Taichung City, way off in the distance, and all the jungle and the wild palm trees and stuff everywhere. And the park in the foreground, like the big Ferris wheel, the other little B&M floorless coaster in the foreground. So, like, that's a really memorable B&M dive machine experience for me, and then there's other ones that are quite good. Like I like Baron a lot, and I like the one at Heide Park, even though it's quite short. That was my first one. That was my first dive machine, so I was excited. No one else on the tour cared because they'd already ridden Griffin and Sheikra, and they were like, "What is this? This is like half a coaster." So I have some special good memories of those, and then all the China ones. Riding a B&M dive coaster feels like being.
I'm curious about Coaster Butt's opinion.
What do you think of dive coasters?
They're not my favourites, but have I even been on any of the other ones?
No.
So can't really.
Which
I don't know
ones
if I
did
can
you
choose
do,
it.
Zoe? I think Oblivion.
The both of the Oblivions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The new Oblivion looks cool.
Oblivion the Black Hole.
Yeah,
I
That's a
like
good
that one.
It is really good.
I think that's probably the only one.
Valkyria.
Oh yeah.
Valkyria is a good one.
Well, the issue we have with these is they're like short. Normally, there's no like actual layout after the drop bit.
Yeah.
Valkyria had a bit of one.
Yeah, I feel Oblivion, the OG Oblivion, right? Like, it's a one-trick pony, but it really does it well.
Yeah.
Like, that drop is really good.
So thematic.
Exactly.
Dramatic
And
presence.
Still the best drop on a dive coaster that I've been on. The other ones just don't pack the same punch, especially Valkyria with the vests. They're not as bad as the old, because they're like second-gen vests, where they do move a little bit. But you don't feel that sense of falling.
Yeah.
But then the rest of Valkyria is really good, and it feels like an actual roller coaster. So it's kind of like, I want Oblivion's drop with the rest of Valkyria, and then I'd love that.
The main selling point of a dive machine coaster has now kind of been snuffed out by the vest restraints. So that's how it feels on Valraven. We were just like, this ride just didn't exist.
Well, yeah, because the whole thing about the traditional B&M harnesses with the ratcheting system is that there was always some room, and then if you were hanging vertical, you would literally hang out of it. You know, like you would slide forward in your seat and really dangle. And the vest restraints keep you so in place that the drop, which is supposed to be the most impressive part of the ride, is now like taking second seat just because of the restraints. And I'm the first to say I like vest restraints generally speaking, but on dive coasters, they're one of the few rides where I really don't like having vest restraints. I really don't.
Dive machines, never.
Yeah, pretty much.
Always, sometimes, never.
Going on to Intamin mega coasters, I've only been on one, Goliath, and I really liked it. I think it's got a lot of elements that are great. You know, all of the airtime hills, especially the 3 bunny hops on the way back, fantastic. But then it's got a lot of boringness where it just doesn't really do anything. Like the helixes are forceful, but do I want to be pushed into my seat for like 5 seconds, just constantly?
They did it because it was pretty. They're like, these helixes are so stupid.
Well, some of the elements feel kind of filler. You have that one transition hill that like now is one of Intamin's like marketable elements, because like I-305 does it so differently, but on Goliath it is really kind of one of those weird moments where you're like, was this really necessary? Like, am I just sitting here going through that thing? So that's what I'm trying to say with Goliath. It's good, but it also has some dead moments.
Steel clones feel a little bit. They're so lengthy. They're giant helixes. They're just time consuming, really.
Yeah. God, the more I talk about this, the more I'm starting to doubt which one I like better.
Superman.
Also, I don't even like either anymore.
The Superman at Darien Lake and Six Flags America feel like Goliath, but with all of the interestingness of it removed. Truly, Goliath is like a really fun and much more curvaceous.
But I guess at the end of the day,
approach of those.
even though it doesn't have versions, the Intamin Mega Coasters still do more. There's still more of a variety among them, I think. It's where Dive Coast the other day is just a drop and maybe an inversion or two.
Or like, well, I mean, Hyperion has a dive loop. I mean, they can do.
True.
They're capable. We just haven't been yet. Expedition G-Force is a really good ride. I really enjoyed that. I'm trying to think what other ones I've been on that are of interest.
Yeah, I don't even know. Sven, what do you think? What is your favorite?
For me, I really like Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland, which is that is what you said, Harry. For me, it's the drop because it's a very high drop, and then I love the looping. I love how after the looping, have you guys done Osiris?
No.
Okay, well, I won't spoil it then.
Because
there's this little
exactly
surprise in the ride that I personally feel, and I also felt it on Yukon Striker, so I really like that. And I love how the theming, like Craig and Baron, obviously, what they can do with it. Like Goliath and Expedition G-Force, I like them, but they didn't have the same feel for me as the dive ones. But I'm hoping that next year there will be a mega that blows me away in my own country. Still can't believe it, but but I'm at the moment I'll go for the dives.
Well, with that reasoning, I say I go for dives too, because at the end of the day, a lot of manufacturers have done mega or hyper coasters, but only B&M has really kind of mastered the dive coaster. Gerstlauer tried with like Hang Time, but it didn't quite work out in my opinion. And so I will give it to B&M for having a niche product that, even though it may not always be the best, it is a good, solid product.
Dive machines, I've edited the dive machines because that's a sentimental favorite. Like, I remember when Oblivion was new, and I was looking at it from California, being like, "This is incredible. This is bonkers that they did this." And so it took a long time.
Funny how things change, right?
For the dive coaster, that was a slow and steady wins the race, because dive coasters are a 90s invention. So are the Intamin Mega Coasters. Their first installation of an Intamin Mega Coaster was the year after Oblivion opened. It was Darien Lake. And so they're kind of had the same starting point. And dive machines kind of disappeared for a while. There was a 5-year gap between G5 and SheiKra, but they kind of got this update. They were like, okay, we're going to do loops. We're going to do other things. SheiKra is has such a beautiful presence. I have yet to ride an Intamin Mega Coaster that has a presence like that, or even like G5, where it's just so beautiful, stunning landscape and stuff. So yeah, I'll give it to a dive coaster, absolutely. It's not a hard choice.
Okay.
I think you'd like Goliath.
Yeah.
Imagine Boulder, but with a bit more positive force, where you get pushed into your seat at other parts of the ride.
Yeah.
Would you feel like that's a good description of Goliath? I don't know.
I think it's
I
giving
understand
Goliath
what you
a lot
mean.
of credit.
I really like the time. I think it's a lot
I
of fun.
think that's fair. Well, certainly
we're
the
going for that
trains,
then?
the comfort level of the seats and the harnesses.
For sure.
And
don't get me wrong.
the final
Cool.
helix is also quite forceful on Goliath. I like that
Like the
part.
last turn.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
I thought
visually
that was
it's
always
also
the
really
coolest
nice.
finale.
Yeah,
I can't believe no more rides do that.
Into the
The whole like,
Goliath
cool.
has
Yeah.
a great first half, or I guess a great first third, and a pretty solid middle,
Yeah.
and a great finale, which is exactly how I would describe Expedition G4.
at least it starts and ends on high notes, and that's really important.
Yeah.
Like when coasters run out of gas and they just kind of
Yeah.
meander, then I'm over it. But if it ends really good, then I don't care what happened in the middle. The middle could have literally been
Yeah.
like me sitting in a block run. You know, like if the finale is good and the beginning is good, then I'm all into
And dive
it.
machines can do. I think SheiKra is a great example of that. You have a great beginning, middle, and end for that ride. 2 drops, a nice inversion. The
Strong helix.
splashdown is super
Yeah.
fun. The helix at the end
Okay. So,
could really go either way with these.
I think we're going Intamin Mega Coasters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential for the one at Wallaby Belgium. So.
Oh, totally. That looks like
I'm scared. I'm really scared because I have this expectation, and I hope it doesn't ruin the experience because some things fall short or don't. Or
here's the thing. At
Yeah,
least we know
but-
that Intamin is capable of creating completely extreme, out of this world attractions. That like if it I just think that like B&M has yet to prove itself for being like super crazy on some of the stuff, you know. But Intamin, we know they can do it. And if it looks good, it usually is good.
Producing the best rolling stock of their lives. The over-the-shoulder lap bar for all rides. Intamin loopers, Intamin inverts, Intamin mega coasters is great. Whereas for me, B&M is starting to lose me with the vests and stuff, and I crave the rigid harnesses of the 90s and 2000s era dive coasters. So it almost makes me want to change my answer to Intamin because I don't feel excited about B&M, new B&Ms the way new B&Ms, I'm treading on light ground. I'm like, okay, we'll see.
I even call myself an Intamin fanboy now.
Whereas new Intamins, I'm like, let's go.
Like, I get
looking at Velocicoaster, obviously that's not a mega coaster, but just anything new that Intamin is doing, I'm all about it. Whereas with B&M, I'm like, we'll see. Like, everything that B&M, like, I want to be excited about Monster at Grunelund. I know better than to be excited about Monster at Grunelund because I don't know what to expect from the trains right now. And
there's no way that they'll be vests because of how compact.
That's what I say. Yeah,
I hope so.
You got to think if they're fitting a 4 across. Yeah. There is no way you can fit a 4 across with vests.
Watch, it'll be a 2 across train with vests. They're gonna screw with all of us.
Wouldn't do that. It's too low for capacity.
It's Grunelund. They have like lots of low capacity. I don't know. They wouldn't do it because of the cost of the ride being what it was for it to be such a low capacity, but I don't know. I'm with B&M. It's like I really have to hold my applause until the brake run. Whereas with Intamin, once I see a concept, I'm like, I know this will be lit. Like I know this is going to be great because I trust them. The stuff that they've built just in the last 2 years, I can trust because it's so good.
Our choice was already B&M Dive, so for that, and so we go to the last one because we're almost hitting the 2-hour mark. So. Of course, I needed to include something of RMC, so RMC Topper Track versus a Vekoma launch coaster.
We're going to hurt everyone.
That's the last one.
I'm hurting myself right now.
Okay, let's first listen to Harry and Zoe.
I feel conflicted.
We'll have Harry and Zoe go first.
What do you think? So, Vekoma launch coaster, Rock and Roller Coaster.
Okay.
Or Wildfire. Take your pick. Take your pick.
Well, if you put it that way.
I don't know what you want me to say.
No, say what you want.
Is that my own? Well, obviously, the RMC is my only option, but is that my only option?
For a Vekoma launch coaster?
In Europe so far?
I'm trying to think of what else is there.
Most of the Vekoma launch coasters are like Asia. Next generation. A lot of Asian stuff, whether it's Big Grizzly Mountain,
like Energy Storms,
or
Firestorms,
the Firestorm,
like they're all like
there's Formula One and Energylandia.
Okay.
That's a new generation launch coaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what out of those two?
I don't know, but you have to say RMC, don't you?
Well, you don't have to.
Well, but you do though.
What do you think?
RMC. Even though like we've only been on Wildfire and we didn't really like it that much.
That's not true. We did like it.
No, we did like it, but we did the expectation thing.
That's what I hear.
Where
That's the
we hyped it too much, so.
I like Rock and Roller Coaster, kind of. I think it's got a good launch. I think the layout is really, really good. Until...
I mean, Hyperspace Mountain counts too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't change anything. Because, again, that ride's a bit like...
People, it's lukewarm. Hyperspace
but does it count Tron too then?
Yes, it counts
Tron.
Yeah,
it would do.
Absolutely.
Okay, this changes things.
That's why I'm suffering.
Oh, yeah, I'm suffering.
Because I have Rod in one hand, and I have Tron in the other hand.
And Hyperspace is in your hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you think I put it on the last spot? To ask.
Yeah, no.
But
I think for me, it's definitely a Topper Track. I don't know. I'm not just off Rock and Roller Coaster. Not been sold on the Vekoma launch coasters, but obviously there's Tron and Abyssus or whatever it's called, the new one coming to Energylandia. So there's a lot of potential. But I'm a big fan of Wildfire. As Zoe said, I think it fell a bit short of our expectations.
Yeah, but I still have faith in RMC, like. As a whole?
I mean, I don't, with the fact that they're RMCing Lightning Rod.
Yes, that's really important. Topper Track is a failed experiment.
Well, I wouldn't call it a failed experiment. I would call it that RMC of Intamin themselves, where they went too far.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because when I look at Tupper Track, it's like it was created to be used on existing Woodies to overhaul and make it more reliable. But then instead,
Yes.
the most limit-pushing airtime machines in recent history were then made on wooden tracks with Tupper Track. It's like you should never use this track for that. Like these trains were going to tear this thing apart within 2 years, and that's what's happening on stuff like Lightning
Yeah.
Rod.
I think
And-
Wildfire will be fine, but Lightning Rod was just a step too far, you know.
Yeah, I mean that ride is it's one of those things where like, man, if it's open, you
Yeah.
actually get to ride that thing. It is so spectacular. I'm somewhere between that ride and Wood Coaster in Shenzhen. It's like my favorite wood coaster.
Well, Outlaw Run I really like
And
because
it
I
shows
like that
there's Outlaw
Outlaw
Run.
because Lightning Rod though really cool and the launch is cool and lots of air. It's really air focused and like my freaking laps just hurt from all that crazy ejector.
Yeah.
But then on Outlaw Run, I feel like it's
The
really varied. It
inversions
has like
on
3
Outlaw
inversions, and it's like really terrainy and it does like every element's
the
different.
double barrel
and that's
roll
what I
at the
like
end
about
is
it.
pretty spectacular and still very unique.
Like just
that
barreling
ride
away back uphill
It's
to the
really-
station
that's
is
really
kind of sick.
wild.
It looks cool.
So yeah, packs a punch. We haven't been on Goliath.
But would you
That's
say
twice
it's
in
better
America.
than a Vekoma launcher though?
I know I have to go with Vekoma Launch because I love Tron. Tron and I guess I have like 4 favorite coasters in the world:
This is really hard
Wood
because
Coaster Shenzhen,
yeah.
Lightning Rod, Tron, and Hyperspace Mountain in Paris. Those are like the 4 that I argue with
Hyperspace
myself.
Mountain in Paris.
Yes.
Why?
We love Star Wars.
Yeah,
we
we
love
love that
90s
ride.
Vekoma loopers. We love 90s coasters. We love Vekomas. We love loopers. So it's every Hyperspace
Yeah, my
Mountain.
top 3 is literally like a Vekoma Tupper Track. I mean, sorry, 2
RMC.
Vekoma launchers and RMC Tupper
And then
Track.
Tron. I mean, Tron is our sentimental family crest by choice.
I
Like,
think a lot of people don't realize that Tron is almost like a flying coaster where like you literally are laying on your stomach and your like legs are held up and you go 60 miles an hour on it like
Face first.
on a quick LSM.
Yeah.
It is really intense.
Yeah.
Unlike any other Disney coaster.
It's a
So it's not like you're
fabulous
riding booster bike.
I mean, we ride Rock and Roller Coaster occasionally here in Orlando, and it runs like crap. Like it
Yeah,
runs,
I'm not here for the rock and roller coasters.
I love
That's-
Rock and Roller. The Paris one was better than ours here. Ours feels like a
In what
dumpster
way?
with 3 wheels. So
The way it rides.
way it rides, but also the theming here. We just have cutouts, and then we have like
I don't like it. The Paris one is literally a laser show.
okay, but that's literally better than having.
I've been on the other one as a kid, but I really remember enjoying it because I loved the fact that these signs were whizzing
because
past.
you were a kid, because I
Yeah,
was
I
a
guess.
kid
But
when I
I
rode
don't
it.
care about these metal trusses, you know, with lasers attached to them.
Harry has a laser issue.
What's that? Like
Zoe's laying it
seriously.
all out on the table for the
For
world.
real.
I don't want to go to a disco. I'm going on a roller coaster.
What's wrong with the disco?
So you want to go through a Home Depot with like bad
Yeah.
You wanna
painted signs that light
wooden
up.
Problem with Rock and Roller Coaster
sure.
reminds me of Generation 1 California Adventure in all of the worst ways. It reminds me of Michael Eisner scraping the bottom of his wallet, like trying to grasp at straws for something marketable. Rock and Roller Coaster was
I would literally rather have them turn off all the lights
and just to be
and
in the
effects
dark
on the one here,
than be able to see what we can see.
than
inside
see
of
all
Rock
the
and Roller.
ugliness.
I think they just picked up a bunch of junk off the side of the road and pasted
Yeah, it's
it
pretty
into
easy
the
in Florida.
superstructure of Rock and Roller Coaster. They did that for Test Track
But-
too. It's all just a bunch of road
As I
signs.
said, there is a third option. There is Express.
Oh, I love Express.
I didn't get to ride it. It was closed.
We were almost not riding it.
Express
on
is
this
our
visit.
I
favorite
think
of the
it's the
3.
better.
It's our
It's
favorite
better
of the
than
3.
Rock and Roller Coaster. Because on the one hand, you'd think that in the dark a ride would feel faster, but for some reason, Express always feels faster.
Express
I don't
is
know if
better
it is
paced.
actually faster, but I don't know. It feels better.
But then I don't even know about his argument because hyperspace is clearly superior.
Hyperspace is. We rode Hyperspace Mountain
But
21 times.
is
in 3
Hyperspace
days.
a launch coaster?
Yes, Sven. It's a
Sven,
launch
yeah,
coaster.
what else is it?
Don't be dumb. It's a launch
is a launch
coaster.
It literally
It's
has a
not a
hydraulic
lift
launch
hill.
system to get it up that hill.
It's an electric winch. Like that is.
Yeah, but then it gets slowed down again.
It doesn't matter. Maverick's first launch is a lift hill.
That's like asking is Lightning Rod a launch coaster because like it also slows down on top of the
Yeah.
hill.
Sven, no,
Okay.
you're being
Okay.
overruled.
No, okay.
But Sven,
you
what do you
with
like
a
better,
newspaper.
Vekoma launchers or RMC Tupper Track?
Well, I was leaving this choice up to you guys because I've only done Iron Horse.
Well, we're going to go for Coma Launcher.
We're going with Vekoma Launches because even though Lightning Rod is one of my absolute favorite rides in the world, I just feel like it's such a problem child. Like, get your act together. It's been 5 years. Like, I hope this next problem solution is the real solution. Like, because every time they've done something to that ride, they're like, this is going to fix it. Like, every time they're like, okay, we're finally fixing it. Like, whether if it was potholes in the track, first the ride went too fast. They had to take magnets off the top because it was clocking well above the time window that it was supposed to complete the ride. It was going 75, 76 miles per hour. So there was that problem. There's like issues with the magnetic components on the undercarriage of the train. Like, there was just so many things wrong with that ride. And every time it's closed, and they're like, "Okay, we're fixing it. It's going to be fixed now." And there's another problem. There's a problem with the lead car. Like everything, just everything. So yeah, it's a magnificent ride, but it has to freaking work. Whereas Tron has been open every single day that park has been open. It has never been closed once in the 5 years that park has been open. It's funny, the ride's open the same year. And you want to talk about which one has given more rides, I think we can handily assume that Tron is the success story there.
I mean, there is the Disney money behind that.
Okay.
You know, Disney's willing to pump as much money as needed into like a functioning attraction with capacity.
And it's just a good-looking ride. But RMC will never bother themselves with a thematic experience, and that's not really what they're there for. A park would never ask that of them.
I mean, if anything, if you're like Harry, you don't really want a thematic light show. You want, you know...
The reason I didn't like Wildfire because there was no thematics to it. It just felt like I was riding a roller coaster, and I didn't like it.
He would rather just ride Oblivion, where it's plunged into utter darkness.
Yeah,
no light shows.
So you got clever thematics, right?
Yeah.
Where you can utilize what you've got. I don't know. I don't think strapping some lasers
where every
in
ride
the dark
is
room.
themed to the apocalypse.
I'm dying here because I've never heard anyone make that argument. It's like the laser thing. It's like
I've
new
heard
for
other
me.
people talk crap about the laser show too. It's not a taste that everyone has.
I
acquired.
understand it. Yeah.
I just find it's lazy. You know, even though it's more expensive to build a building and put a roller coaster inside of it, I feel it's lazy to do that because then you're just being like,
it's literally called rock and roller coaster. Like, it is rock and roll.
Yeah.
You're rolling on a coaster, rock and
I love
rolling.
that every light show was different colors for each train.
I did like that.
And it was.
I didn't even clock that because I was too busy going,
And we're
this is a
big-
great launch,
We're
and then
big
just sitting there
Aerosmith
going,
fans too.
now
So
I'm
like
bored.
we have
They had those little chaser lights, like, you know, like the ones that...
different soundtracks, and both Rock and Roller Coasters had the same soundtracks, except that Paris has had the added element of each soundtrack also had its own unique color scheme and synchronized lights. So we have our favorite in order of like least favorite to favorite for all 5 trains. And so like
You know, I've ridden it in a different way. It was during the Terrific Nights. They didn't put up the light show, but they just had one stroboscope. Is that the word? Just one going off, and that was amazing.
The entire ride was just like strobe lights?
Yeah.
Damn, you can't
exactly.
do that
So
here.
it kept on going, and so
because you'll send someone into epileptic shock and you get sued.
Come back to the stage, you're really rock and rolling. Okay.
I think there was a warning
You'd have to make
beforehand.
people
But,
sign a waiver in America to do that. Truly, seriously, like you wouldn't be.
but it was simple, but it was effective. Sometimes less is more, you know.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Okay.
Okay, so when we started off on the same page, and from there on we had different opinions,
Remember
but
we
we
were like,
could still
"Either
understand
way."
each other's
Yeah.
opinions.
Yeah.
So I think it was good.
Yeah, I think so. That was fun.
That was fun.
Alrighty.
I miss Hyperspace Mountain. Paris. I dream about that ride. Love to.
I certainly don't. I rode it before it got the new trains, and I'm quite a tall guy as well, and my legs would always bash on the seat in front.
Yeah,
And
I
you
had
know,
that too.
when you hit your knee on the side and it like just the like a fizzy tingling just shoots up your body. I had that for both
Yeah.
sides. I was practically
Ouch.
dying. It took me 6 times to figure out how to ride it without being in pain.
Is that only when you ride in like even numbered rows where you're in the back of the vehicle?
Yes,
Okay.
but that was every ride for me.
Well, we're Americans, so we always request our preferred row.
Well, but this was also pre the new trains, right?
Yeah, those were the
old
original
Yeah,
trains.
the new trains I'm sure are a lot better.
We love.
I mean,
But
Zoe's
you
written it really
Yeah,
well.
they are way better.
I still enjoy them most when it's winter because then I have a coat on. Because otherwise the restraints are so against my body that it hurts my bones.
As a slightly fatter guy, I don't know that's a problem,
We
but yeah.
bring our own padding with us everywhere we go.
I carry a sweater with him.
Yeah. My sweater's on the inside.
It's been warm and fuzzy all year round.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks, Coastabot, for joining us in this highly interesting anti-laser show episode. I'm very enlightened, literally.
This was so fun.
But yeah, I'm really glad we got to chat up with you guys. We love your
great.
YouTube channel, and I just checked out your website. I'm sorry I didn't check it out before the episode, but
We were looking at
it's
it during the
sophisticated
podcast.
AF, so it looks
has a
cool.
great aesthetic.
It's
You guys are awesome.
Thank
it's
you.
good branding,
Well
good product.
We hope
Thank
you.
you.
Guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, we did.
Yeah, thanks for having
it's
us.
It's been a blast. Interesting to hear other people's thoughts on different types of models. I don't think I've ever really sat down and thought, is this better than that in terms of models before? So
Yes,
No,
thank
it's
you
been
Sven,
a-
for putting that
it's been a
together. 'Cause that was
Yeah, a little
that's
shout
a
out for
good-
Sven, our little
a good
quiz
foundation
Coaster
for
Kings
that.
radio master.
With
He
pleasure.
He always throws the weirdest topics and questions in our general direction, as seen by
We're
our
always like, this
list
is
of
a Sven
episodes.
question, and then we spend like an hour trying to answer it, and we're like, yeah.
Yeah, once Sven's like, this is going to be an easy example, and we struggled so hard.
Yeah.
That,
I'm still thinking about questions that Sven asked us
in that crazy
several
quiz
podcasts
episode,
ago.
yeah.
mad.
Alrighty. Sean, this is the part where you plug promo, but this time not only for us, but
Yes,
also for
I'm actually going to
Coasterbot.
start with promoing CoasterBot. So check out coasterbot.com. They have a great layout where you can immediately navigate to their YouTube, podcast, shop, everything that makes them so great. It's all right there, easy to navigate, very clean to look at. Their shop is really cool because of their custom pins in different, really kind of retro but really clean color schemes. I'm definitely going to look at some after we hang up on this. And then obviously the YouTube channel, I really, really enjoy the rewatchability of all their episodes. So definitely go check that out.
voices.
If you want to learn something today, that's a good one
Very kind.
to continue on. And then on our end of things, on thecoasterkings.com, we have a lot of new international articles. We're really kind of starting to focus more on Asia, and that's kind of our new direction we want to go into because there's so much happening and not enough sources out there to really kind of look at that. So we kind of want to be one of those sources for the industry.
China's the only market right now that's just trucking along.
Yep, that's the only market that really is still really constructing
Shanghai
like
Disney
crazy.
is living its best post-COVID life with no regulations, no masks, no distancing, no nothing, fireworks shows, parades. Everything is just hunky-dory.
Reminds me of the whole opposite
In
of Walt
China,
Disney
I could
World.
cry. I just want to be there so badly. That's where our heart is, so we're
Yeah.
focusing on it for as long as
we
can
can.
be there.
And then we also launched our shop, which is also you can also navigate to that by going to our website. We have a European and a US shop live right now, so that you don't have to deal with importing fees or expensive shipping. So that's always a good thing. And we don't have a YouTube, but we do have this podcast. So check out some of our previous podcast episodes. Leave a review on on Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts,
Help us
yeah.
grow a little bit. We are still a relatively young podcast. Thank you,
Yes.
Coastabot, for joining us and kind of getting the word out there.
Yes.
And with that, I think we're just going to say goodbye.
Yes.
All right.
It's been a
All right.
pleasure.
Goodbye.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.